Good evening, everyone. Happy Monday. Happy evening. And welcome back to Script Notes. It's been a couple of weeks, but then again, it's always been a couple of weeks. And what's also been a while is that I am joined by my favorite enemy, Navian. Hi, Navian.
Honk.
It's been a while, but it's good to have you back with us.
Thank you.
Yeah. I won't ask you how you've been doing, but I will tell you that it is good to have you back. And
I appreciate that.
And I am looking forward to playing some Blood on the Clock Tower with you tomorrow, maybe. And we're back with Script Notes. It's been a couple of weeks since we had our last special episode. It's been 4 weeks since we had drinks on with our last regular episode. But we have another special guest today, and that is Dakota Avery. Hi, Dakota.
Hi, friends. Look at me being on a Script Notes.
I know. It's amazing we haven't had you on already.
Me and Alejo doing podcasts together have never happened before, ever.
Yeah, I know. We don't talk about that, Dakota. That was what we call a mess.
It's been a while.
I mean, we had Navian on as well for that one, and we're going to have him on for a bunch more, but yeah, that nothing happened. Don't worry about
it. It was fun. That's all I'll say. It was fun. I enjoyed it. I'm glad we did it, but I'm also glad that I'm here on Script Notes because I love this podcast and I love both of you.
Well, I'm glad to have you with us. For people who aren't aware of what we're talking about, Kota and I, and in part Navian, as well as Jamie, did the World Cup podcast for the Blood on the Clock Tower World Cup that went absolutely nowhere after a few weeks.
It didn't go nowhere. It had like 3 episodes, and I think not all of them made it up onto YouTube even.
They were good episodes.
There was 2 episodes that were released. There was a 3rd episode that never got released. I think that they're still really good podcasts. If you want to go back and listen to us talk, I do not think that podcast ended because myself, Alejo, Navian, and Jamie did not have chemistry. I think the chemistry was there. I think the podcast itself was entertaining. And I think the reaction that it got and the views it got proves that. I just think that doing a podcast at that time in our lives, the 4 of us, just wasn't a good thing because we just didn't have time to do it. It's unfortunate. But
if one more person says I have chemistry with Navian, I will start dropping lawsuits.
Sorry. I have chemistry with Navian. You just exist, Alejo.
Listen, a flamethrower is a chemical reaction. It works.
Hey, Kota.
Yeah.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Football. I'm home.
Yes, let's go. It's coming home.
All right.
I'm so happy. I'm from England, and honestly, I have a lot to say about politics in general. But also, I'm just glad that women's sport is getting recognized and getting the love that it absolutely deserves.
Absolutely. We're not here to talk about sports, although I absolutely would love to talk about sports for 2 hours. But we're here to talk about Blood on the Clock Tower, which I also enjoy talking about for 2 hours. And we're here to talk about your script, Dakota, Technicolor Laser Tag in Space. But before we talk about that, we always like to say hi and get to know you. So I'll ask you the same question that I always like to ask people, which is, how did you get into Blood on the Clock Tower? Tell us, so when was your first game, Kota?
Honestly, I don't. So I knew about Clock Tower in the before times. I don't remember if I ever played it in the before times. Before times being before the global pandemic, right? I cannot remember if I actually played it, but I was aware of it. And in the late months of 2020, I was having kind of a bad time mentally and just personally. And I watched a lot of Twitch.tv. And one of those excursions happened to be on the Pandemonium Institute channel. And so after watching it for a couple months, I joined the unofficial, and I played like 8 hours a night every night for 2 months. I don't remember what my very first game was, but I joined the unofficial in March of 2021. I think I played one game online on like Tabletop Simulator in like February
I'm sorry to hear that.
of 2021. I don't remember either of those first games, but the first game that I can remember after that whirlwind of playing a shit ton on the unofficial was I joined the Connecticut Blood on the Clock Tower server. And my very first game there, I was mess turned, and my demon had to leave, and so a player filled in for them, and then the game ended the next day because everyone like in town just knew who the demon was, and it felt really bad.
I do vaguely remember that. That was unfortunate. But then you got to be a politician, and you played that excellently.
Yeah, that game was really fun. That's one of my favorite games of all time. Was that politician win, and then from there, it just kind of Clock Tower has become my life. Like, I don't know. I feel weird talking about myself because I have self-esteem issues, and I don't think as highly of myself as other people seem to do. But Clock Tower has become a part of my daily routine. Clock Tower has introduced me to some of my favorite people. I'm talking to you two, and you two are legitimately, actually, two of my closest friends, two of the people I talk to the most. And I wouldn't know you guys if it wasn't for Clock Tower. So I cannot speak more highly of Clock Tower.
I was going to say what you said about yourself was basically describing everybody in the room right now, except for the part where you got to routine because you lost me there. I am unable to maintain any kind of routine ever.
Oh, I'm without like I am trying every day to get better at routine because I suck at it. But you know, the really without Clock Tower, I wouldn't have a routine because it's I got to play on Sundays, or I got to host on Sundays. Oh, I got to play on Connecticut on Fridays. I have to be on Alejo's board game channels on Fridays. If it wasn't for Clock Tower, I honestly would not know what day it is half the time.
I feel that. I feel that very deeply.
So you say, David, that I'm gonna I know I said they become routine, but in reality, it's the only thing keeping me on routine.
Yeah, you have that too, Nathan. You've got a lot of things that you do every week.
I do, but I still don't know what day it is on any given day.
Me and David have had many philosophical chats about how shit everything is, and I love them so much. What else questions you got for me, Alejo?
I mean, it's not an interview.
I mean, you can interview me. It's fine.
No. No, I concur. Clock Tower has brought lots of excellent people and lots of excellent times together. So thank you, to you as well, Kota, for agreeing to be here, but also for being you.
Oh, yeah, like I tell you this
and
all the time.
And you too, I suppose, Navian.
I suppose.
I tell you this all the time, but I mean this. There is no place I'd rather be than hanging out with y'all. And that goes for all my friends. But I don't know. Clock Tower is weird, right? Because it is a game about lying to each other. Yeah, it has forged my closest friendships. It has given me so many great opportunities that I never expected to be able to do. It has instilled so much confidence, whether that it's false confidence, because a lot of the time it is, right? A lot of the time I have to pretend that I'm confident. I'm not really confident. I'm pretending that I'm confident. But even false confidence is confidence of a degree. And Clock Tower has instilled that in me. If you asked me in March of 2021 if I thought I would be a host on the Pandemonium Institute Twitch channel, a regular on multiple Twitch streams, and just doing so much Twitch content, I would have laughed at you. I had given up on being a Twitch streamer. For those of you who don't know, I was a board game Twitch streamer, a decently successful one from November or like October 2020 to like February 2021, and I was doing really well, but I just could not get a routine. I could not get a schedule. I just couldn't do it. So I'd given up on being a Twitch streamer or being any form of like in the public eye. Um, I was doing pro wrestling, sure, but I really had given up on doing like any like content like that. But then it kind of just fell in my lap. I started playing on Twitch streams because I liked the people, not because I wanted to be on a Twitch stream, but because I liked the people. I got invited to be on the official server, and I wanted to play there because I liked the humans. And then as that went, I have gotten so many great opportunities. I was on No Rules Barred, for God's sake. Like, I never thought anything like that would ever happen to me, and it's allowing me to be able to believe in myself. And I want to be a sports reporter, so I'm just gonna do it because why not?
It is indeed coming home. You're actually one of quite a rare number of people then that first regularly started playing this game between me and Navian. I think. Navian,
Really?
you would have been around April, June, 2021.
Yes, I think it was in April.
My first game was the 23rd of January, 2021. Yes, I know the date.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
The three of us have been around for pretty much the same amount of time.
Look at us go. The three pillars of salt.
Sure. Although technically Dakota knew about it from the before time, so Dakota's known about it for longer.
Technically, so did we.
I mean, I started to know about it in about February of 2021.
No, because there was the video that we both watched like 5 minutes of and then gave up on.
True. I don't count that as me really knowing about it because I turned the video off and so, forgot completely about it for like 2 years.
Is this the Geek and Sundry video?
No, it's not.
Nope. Dicebreaker.
Yeah.
Oh, Dicebreaker. Dicebreaker did a video on Bloody Clock Tower in the before times, didn't they?
It's not good, but I've heard
that it was real bad.
I've heard that they're planning on doing another video on it soon.
Ooh, I hope so.
Yeah, that's one to keep an eye out for.
I actually like Dicebreaker. I think they're real good.
Yeah. I asked a message in one of their streams a couple of months back, and they said, "We've got it. We're planning on doing something as a part of a multi-channel crossover." So yeah, maybe that should be fun.
Nice.
But anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about. I mean, that is exactly what we're here to talk about, but that's not what we're here to talk about now. Koto, what's your favorite script of the base 3?
Of the base 3?
Yeah.
Ooh, this is really interesting, because if you asked me at different times of my Clock Tower experience, I would give you a different answer. For the first 6 months, it was Sex and Violence. I loved Sex and Violence because it was a playground for me to do my chaos. And I know a lot of people say that BMR is a chaos factory, and it is.
Oh, I disagree. I think Sex and Violence at its best is the chaos factory of all of the base scripts, and I can definitely see why that appeals to you.
Yeah, but I don't like Sex and Violence anymore. I don't hate it like some people. I won't not play it like some people.
Can I offer a theory for you?
Yes, please. Is it a game theory?
Is it my theory?
It's a game theory. My theory is that people will try to optimize the fun out of Sex and Violence, especially online, because it's easier to track a lot of things for people, right? So when you have people who are focusing very, very hard on the hard mechanics of it, it optimizes the fun out of Sex and Violence. That's why I say Sex and Violence is at its best when it's a chaos factory.
Can I offer a not a counter theory, but a supplemental theory?
Yes.
I think you're right, which is why I think BMR at the current moment in the current metas on online play in the circles that the three of us frequent is a chaos factory, because SNV online can tend to get very solvy.
Yeah.
And that's not how I play. Maybe I should start playing. Maybe I have been trying to incorporate solving in, right? I want to be a good player, whatever that means. but that's just not my style. It's never been my style. It's not what I got known for. I did not get added in. I did not get added into servers or like become friends with people because I am a solver. That was never me. I was the
Hot
chaos
take:
person.
solving the game is not what makes you a good player. Being a kind and friendly and open person who treats your fellow players well and has fun in the meantime is what makes you a good player.
Amen. But so BMR has kind of turned into this chaos factory because BMR, you you can solve it, sure, like you can solve it, but you have to do off the wall things to solve it. You have to kill people. You have to try certain plays. There is not like there isn't an optimal way to play any character and any script, but BMR more so, right? And that's why I tend to love BMR. To answer your question, Alejo, BMR is my current favorite because it is so much fun. You can do so many cool things in BMR, and I love BMR so much. Actually, can I revise my answer?
Of course.
Because my favorite base script is TB plus Marionette, but BMR is a close second.
That's not a base script, Kota.
It is in my heart.
It's still not. But that's fair. It's a very good script. I think, Kota, you and I both play on the Thursday Gen Con games. And I think that of all of the streams that I personally play in, I think that those games are the absolute pinnacle of the most fun that I have. And I think that that's
Absolutely.
I think that that's with what you were saying, both of you, but mostly you, Navian, that the people there, for the most part, aren't solvers. They aren't. Like, they're very good players, of course, but they're just there to have fun, you know? Like, that's the point of a game, right? To have fun. I'm not saying that's not the case for other places, but I think that there can be a bit of a premium that's placed on competitiveness, where this is really not a game that favors that.
It's the atmosphere, right?
Yeah, exactly.
If you go into a game expecting a certain atmosphere, um, you can just have fun and let loose. It's why I love Connecticut so much. Alejo, yes, I think Gen Con has become my favorite games, right? If you go back and watch pretty much all of those Gen Con games on YouTube, they are all so much fun.
They really are.
There's a couple that do feel bad. There's a couple that didn't necessarily go quite well, but like for the most part, they're just fun. They're just players doing things not for content's sake, but just to have fun with each other.
Yeah, I
They're
mean,
people who enjoy each other's company. And that's also why I love Connecticut so much. Because for the most part, while it's a very openish community, everyone's welcome for the most part. Most people know each other. Most people are friends, and most people are just going to have fun.
I don't get to play on Connecticut as much as I would like because the first game starts at 2:00 my time, which is a shame.
Yeah, it's very late for you.
It is very late for me. Is it 2:00 or is it 3:00? I think it's 2:00.
Lyra says, "Why win when you can do chaos?"
I know.
Feel that, Lyra?
Yeah, it's 2 a.m. for you.
2 a.m. Yeah, I thought so. What time are your games, Cutter? You're also 1 a.m. for me, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
The Sundays.
Yeah. So still
they're 1 hour
a little
earlier
bit. Yeah, still a little bit too late, unfortunately.
Didn't you used to play on Sundays regularly, Alejo?
I did,
Yes.
but then I moved, and now I live with more people, and they're like, "What the fuck are you doing up? Stop talking. I want to sleep." So yeah, that's why I can no longer play on late night streams, late night my time, which is a shame because the old Sunday games were among my favorites for the same reason. Two very good storytellers that I'm good friends with, lots of players that I knew well, who were also fun to play with. You were one of them, Kota. Nathan, you didn't really play on Sundays.
I did occasionally. I still do occasionally, but it's not something that I can always do regularly.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, like Alejo and Navian, I'm talking you guys up, and I'm sorry, but like Alejo, when I joined the Sundays, you and Madeline on Sundays were my two people.
Madeline's
I
great.
became Chaos Twins with Madeline really early on. If you can,
I do remember
I wish
that.
there was I wish there was an archive, but if you were to go back in a time machine and watch those early Sunday streams that I was a part of, because I was always on the Sunday stream, like every single week. It's why I got the job as the host, because I was just there regularly. But Alejo and Madeline were two people I really clicked with, and that continued and went over in Connecticut. And the Thursdays I got to play with Navian and Javi, and it just clicked. And I don't know. That's when I have fun with Clock Tower. I have fun when I get to click with people and we can have in jokes and I can be goofy because I don't know, the world needs more goofiness.
Yeah, Javi's all right. Not sure about his co-storyteller. I can't remember who that is, but I didn't like them.
Oh yeah, they're just awful. There's so much honking. You can't hear anything else because the honks are just over everything.
Absolutely obnoxious. Yeah.
I hear they kick down the no goose signs everywhere they go.
They had a week off. Oh God, no! The week's ended, hasn't it? Oh no.
Return of the Goose.
Anyway, yeah.
See, this is the problem. This is the problem, Alejo, right? You invite me on to your nice orderly podcast and just go off the rails.
This is supposed to be a 1 hour stream. Like, this is scheduled in as a 1 hour stream. We've been streaming for 20 minutes. We've not discussed the script yet.
Okay, so you want me to talk about my experience as a scriptwriter? Yeah.
No, I don't. I'm having fun. I hope neither of you have anywhere to be in the next couple of hours.
I don't. I'm here.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, we should probably move on. Yeah, so you've been playing for about a year and a half now, regularly, which is about as long as us. So when did you get into script writing?
I've always been curious about script writing from the very beginning. I think like probably the first like scripts that I even tinkered with were around the June-July of 2021. I actually don't know when I wrote my first script. I think it was late July, early August. You can like if you scroll through Connecticut, the relative channels, you'll be able to pinpoint it. I didn't. I am a bad planner. But my very first script that I was happy with is still in my canon of good scripts that I've created, and that is With Great Power.
Yeah.
So With Great Power was probably the first script I shared with people. And I think it's one of my better scripts. Since then, I have written probably 80, 90, 100 scripts. Some of which I've shared. I think I've shared like 20 so far. Some of which I threw away. I have in my head, I have a canon of 4 scripts that I have written or have taken part in writing that I think are actively good that I would recommend people play. That might go up to 5 or 6 because I wrote 2 recently that I think are pretty decent. But those 4 are With Great Power. It's With Great Power. It's Needle in the Haystack. It's Coffee Laced with Cyanide, and it's Technicolor, Laser Tag, and Space. I think those 4 scripts that I have written or had a hand in writing are actively actually good.
Kota, I can tell you, slightly back a bit, but I can tell you that you joined the unofficial server on the 4th of March, 2021, which
and
is
I played immediately.
Which is 3 days before Resnora and Marlashon.
There we go. I played that same day. That 4th of March, I started playing on the unofficial that same day.
Yeah, I did too on my first day. But yes, you didn't, however, choose to talk about With Great Power when we asked you what you wanted to talk about. You wanted to talk about Technicolor, Laser Tag, in Space.
Yep.
I feel like this is your script, Kota, so I feel like you have set me up to ask you why laser in laser tag is not capitalized.
I mean, I don't know if I set it up because it's very, very obvious. It's because if you don't capitalize the L, it looks like an I, and you can then say that this script is called Titties, even though it's very much not. It's called
Tiltis. Tiltis.
Tltiz. But if you spell it T lowercase L uppercase T uppercase I uppercase S, it spells titties.
It's titties if you're not a coward.
Damn right, Navian. So okay. Let me talk about the name first, then we can talk about the actual script if you want. Okay, so the creation of the script has a really fun story, but it has nothing to do with the name. I could not think of a name for the script. Could not. And so I just kind of typed random words, and I got Technicolor laser tag in space. And I thought it was fun. And the people I was talking to were like, well, how would you like abbreviate that? Clutches? And I said, oh, no, you can make it titties. And everyone's like, why would you do that, Coda? And then I go,
why wouldn't you do that?
Like, do you not know me? I am Clock Tower's horniest gal, TM. Or at the very least, Clock Tower's horniest lesbian, TM. Of course I'm going to talk about titties at any chance I can.
I would also say that as you are now on hormones, you are on the titty skittles.
I am on the titty skittles. My favorite thing when...
well, this has been a good stream. Thank you all for coming.
My favorite thing talking about my hormone pills is just yelling, I want the boob pills. But yeah, that's where the name came from. The name came from just needing a name, and Technicolor laser tag in space is fun. It's a fun name.
It is. It sure is. Why did you write the script? I think I remember this being played the first time, though. It was played on the Sunday stream, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, Alejo, you were here for the creation of this script.
I was.
Yes. So.
Is this that one?
Yep. So here's the thing about
the one where you completely ignored everything I said.
No.
I don't see a poppy grower.
There is you gave me more than just the poppy grower, Alejo. Okay, so a little bit of backstory. At the time I wrote this, yeah, fuck it. At the time I wrote this, I lost 2 days before I wrote the script. I lost my brother. I was going through a really bad time mentally. I was falling asleep in group chats. I was just not having a good time. And
you were grieving.
I was grieving. Yeah,
grieving is not a good time.
I was grieving, and I'm thankful that I had some. Oh, give me 1 second.
Yeah. I think Curtis just gone to take a phone call or something. She'll probably be back with us very shortly.
Yes,
oh, yeah,
yes.
She's back.
So I was grieving. I was not having a good time. I was very thankful that I had some really great people around me, 2 of whom are in this chat. But I needed something to get my mind off of things. And so I was just playing Clock Tower a lot and hanging out, and I wanted to write a script. No worries. I was just writing a script, and I wrote this script in a voice call after falling asleep in the Connecticut Clock Tower server, waking up, seeing people were in the official server, joining in. It was Alejo, it was Fran, it was Jack, it was Jan, it was me. I think there's one other person I'm forgetting. I'm sorry. And I asked all of them to give me their favorite townsfolk, favorite outsider, favorite minion, and favorite demon. We piled those all together, and then I took it upon myself to make it a playable script. I added some characters. I removed some characters. I do believe every single one of those people have at least one, or I think 2, but if not 2, 1 character they suggested is still on this script. And I just wanted to test myself. I wanted to give myself a challenge. And I think I made probably one of my better scripts doing that.
That is a really wholesome backstory to how this script got started.
It's a very unique one as well, because I think you're actually the first person. Not certain. Correct me if I'm wrong, Navian, but I think all of the others, apart from JoJo's, maybe were written for a script competition originally. I know yours and mine both were.
You might be right. Yeah.
So real quick. So fun fact: I've only ever written a script for a script competition once. I have entered a script in a script competition. I believe, the World Cup, obviously, and then I also entered with great power into a script competition back in the day. But I've only ever written one script for a script competition, and it was for your competition, Alejo.
Oh, really? That's nice. That would be, I can't remember the name of that script, but Five in a Game.
5 in a Game. They just played it last night on a TPI stream.
How'd it go?
It went well. So I said this on the TPI stream. I'm not trying to talk you guys up, but I do not think that script deserved to win or be in the running up because of how many great scripts there was. I still maintain. I think it's in my canon of 6 scripts I've created that are actually really good. I think if you play that with a group of players out of the box, you do not have the Kickstarter edition. You just have the regular edition. I think you can play that script and have a really good time. I really enjoy 5 for Fighting, or 5 in a Game. 5 for Fighting is the band that did Superman.
Yes, 5 in a Game. That's the one. But yes, it was. Yeah, we did have a lot of good scripts entered into that one. They couldn't all make the cut. But yeah, there were some very good scripts.
But yeah. So Technicolor Laser Tag in Space was made out of just people giving me characters and me trying to make it into a playable script.
Do you remember what any of the core characters that you really wanted to keep in there were?
I don't remember like the core ones, right? But I do remember that. So I actually have. So this is 1.3. There was 2 other Technicolor Laser Tags in Space before this, and on the first one there was a spy, which I kind of really loved.
I think the spy was my suggestion.
I thought it was what?
I think the spy was my submission.
Yeah, I really loved how the spy interplayed with some of the characters, and I thought it really helped the script. But after playing through it a couple times, because the way Technicolor Laser Tag in Space was play tested was the first time, and you guys go watch this on Missing Pieces Board Game Club YouTube. We did a not on stream YouTube recording of this script. Skills ran it for me, and it went well. But there was some characters that didn't really fit. So we then did a 1.2, which still had the spy on it. And then we played it on a Saturday night in Connecticut, and we then I sat down. It was me. It was Skills. I think Navian was there for a moment, and it was Malshan, and we kind of like hammered it down because we were going to play it the next day on the TPI Sunday stream, and that last revision got rid of the spy, and I was fighting for it because I really liked how the spy fit on the script. But instead, I think we replaced it with a witch. No, we replaced it with the Mizephiles.
Okay.
I was looking through from the very first. I know from in between 1, 2, and 3, but from 1 and 3, we got rid of the mathematician and the Raven Keeper, and I believe we added the a preacher. I think.
Sure.
Yeah, we added the preacher, and then we added another one as well. But that's the only 2 townsfolk that changed from 1 to 3, and then the outsiders that changed from 1 to 3 were we got rid of the barber, and we added the sweetheart instead, witch for spy, Mephiles for spy, and the demons have stayed the same the entire way.
Nathan, can you guess which characters from the script I added to it? I think there are at least 2 that I suggested that are still on the script. Maybe 3. Not sure about one of them.
Well, I don't see Sarah Novus or Mutant, so...
No, I actually suggested a different minion and a different outsider.
Oh, interesting.
I know. I think there were a lot of Sarah Novus Mutant scripts around at the time. I just felt like something different.
That's fair, yeah.
You are correct that they are my favourite minion and outsider, aside from the Boom Dandy, which is on the script.
Which is on the script, which is what I was going to say, Boom Dandy.
But I did actually say that my minion was the spy, so nope.
True. Oh, you only gave one suggestion.
Yeah, we gave
for
one of each.
Of them?
I think I might have given 2 townsfolk, but one of everything else.
Okay. Did you suggest the Puka?
I did.
Yeah. And is your townsfolk still on the list?
We're
still on the script?
If we submitted 2 townsfolk, I think it is. If only one, it's not. But my outsider definitely is.
Yeah, we do love a Puka, Lyra. Puka is... until Little Monster came around, Puka was absolutely the fuckiest demon, and I love it for that.
Yes. But to be fair, around the time that Little Monster came out, the Puka was reworded to be less fucky.
I see. Wait, what did it used to be worded as?
It used to be the previously chosen player, I think.
Oh, yeah, I think you might be right. And now it's been reworded to specify the previously poisoned player, so they had to have been poisoned in order to die.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. Let's see. I think for your townsfolk suggestions, I think you might have put in Juggler.
If I had a townsfolk, it was the monk. Kota, do you remember?
Okay. Yeah, monk was my other thought.
So I do not believe that it was your first suggestion. However, after I got everyone's...
oh, yeah, that's right. Jack vetoed the poppy grower.
Yeah, Jack, you said poppy grower. It was on the script at one point. It got vetoed before it became official. And then we were talking about other things, and you said, well, then put the monk on for me, please.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one. That's what happened. Which of these outsiders is mine? The original version also had the barber, if that helps.
Yep, the original barber version did have a barber, and it did not have a sweetheart. So Alejo did not give a sweetheart, in case you were wondering.
Okay.
But I may have.
I was going to say, I could see Alejo suggesting probably all of these except politician. I don't think you suggested politician.
Correct.
I believe politician was Jack. It might have been Fran.
Yeah. But these are all great outsiders. I'm going to say you suggested the Klutz.
Well, I went with the monk as my townsfolk, the spy as my minion.
Oh, the drunk as your
So we're sticking with
outsider.
TB. But I actually went with the saint, I think.
I mean, I was kind of close, right? I picked the other conditional game ender.
Yeah. So looking at this first here, I think it was Jack or Fran with the politician. I believe I think the other one picked Klutz. Jan picked barber. You picked saint, and I added drunk just to add to the drunkenness on the script.
Yeah, I think that sounds about right.
For how this started, I legitimately think this is a really good script. It's probably one of the more information-heavy scripts that I have ever made. I make scripts a lot to fit the way I play, which is chaos and social plays. So a lot of my scripts will be chaotic and socially. And this one, for sure, can be very chaotic and have a lot of real cool social plays. But it does have a lot of information on it.
Yeah, for sure. What is it that you like about the script, Kota? Like, I asked you, because we're going to be playing this script tomorrow.
This and TB Marrow, right?
Yeah, we're playing Trouble Brewing with Marionette and then this tomorrow. And then if we have time, Kota, I'll ask you to run a game by yourself that I will play in. But if we don't have time, we don't have time. But from all of the scripts that you've written, you said you wanted to run TB plus Marionette, definitely, plus one of yours. Why did you pick this one? Why is this your A script?
That's a good question. I don't know. So a lot of the scripts that I made, and a lot of the scripts that I consider playable, right? Like I said, there's 4 of them that I think are like you can play this 100% of the time and have a good game. This was the first script that I made, and immediately after making it, for no one else's help at all, me, I curated this. I was happy with it. I love Needle in the Haystack, but Needle in the Haystack is a very particular type of game, right? It's a very, we are looking for the demon and the drunkening and the poisoning. We are searching for it. It's a very particular type of game. I love With Great Power, but that script is predicated on strong townsfolk and strong evil teams and making sacrifices. And it took so many revisions to get it to a point where I was happy. And I love Coffee Laced with Cyanide. But 1, that's been played so much because it's such a good script. And 2, Navian is a hell of a script writer. Alejo was there as well, but Navian is a hell of a script writer.
Well, thanks.
I can't take full credit for Coffee. As much as I love it, as much as I think it's probably the best script that I have made, I cannot take full credit for it. Because Navian is so good and Alejo is good as well, I guess.
Where's my server mute button?
How does it feel to be on the receiving end of the I guess?
But this script, yes, Alejo and Fran and Jan and Jack gave suggestions, and yes, Skills and Malachon helped me refine it. But if you ask any of them, they won't say it's their script. It was my stupid idea. It was me trying to make this work. This script is the best thing I have made. That I think you can just pop it down and play it. And with the backstory behind it, I think it's very special. I think it's a very special script.
Yeah, you call this your script, but the image, the PDF file that you sent me, quite clearly says that the rights belong to Stephen Medway.
Yeah, you know what? Right. So Stephen Medway made this, and I am just over here being Gilderoy Lockhart.
Stephen Medway wrote every script.
Every script known to man. Wouldn't that make Stephen Medway a Gilderoy Lockhart? Anyways, that's not important.
I mean, sure. I'm not sure that the 3 of us are exactly Harry Potter's target audience right now.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
But yeah, no.
Didn't you know, Leo, that we are the daughters of the witches you couldn't burn or something?
Something like that. Yes. I do like this script for how it came from basically drawing a few characters out of a hat functionally.
This is the definition of throw shit at a wall and see if it sticks. And
this is the stickiest shit.
Somehow, this is the second best script I've ever created. Like if I had to rank them, it would go Coffee, it would go this, it would go With Great Power, it would go Needle. So like somehow the spin the wheel, make the deal script is actually good.
You know, this script has a character interaction on it. We'll move on to actually talking about the script now. But this script has a character interaction on it that once hit me really, really hard. And it's not the fault of the script. It's not the fault of the interaction. It's entirely my fault. Where I was like, where I was the Mazephiles. It was the first time I'd ever pulled the Mazephiles, and I pulled a player aside and was like, hey, storyteller's here. Say this word. And they said the word. And I was like, okay, sweet. I'll catch you up tomorrow. But right now, here's what you need to know. I'm aware that this person has heat on them. Don't worry about that just yet. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out later. Softly implied who the evil team was. Then the storyteller woke me that night and said, hi, you've been selected by the preacher. I was like, oh no.
Oh.
I was like, yeah, no, I was fucking with you. What are you going to do about it? And I absolutely was not fucking with them. We didn't win that game, but it was a thing. But obviously that's my fault for outing too much info before before the night was over. What is it about the script then, Kota, that you particularly like? What fun interactions are there on here that you see?
I like the Mezephiles as a character, and I think there's some really fun roles in here. I think a Mezephiles turned general can be really fucking cool. General is an underrated, overhated character in my opinion. But I think that if you keep the general alive and you get to know basically what the storyteller thinks is happening, I think that could be a really cool way to figure out how you want to play the game. I think Mezephiles Monk is really interesting. It's not like super powerful for the evil team, but getting rid of that powerful role from good is just fantastic. It can only be helpful. I think Mezephiles Snake Charmer is almost broken with how evil sided it is. Yeah, I think Mezephiles has a lot of really cool interactions on this script. There's a lot of really good targets for the Mezephiles.
There's one really bad target for the Mezephiles.
Yeah?
Hey, so you're evil now. And I know for certain that you're evil because there's no way I was drunk or poisoned. And the night went on and you said the word and I heard you say the word. Here's the demon. Here's all of the evil team. Here's what you need to know. All right, what are you? Oh, sorry, you're the politician?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, I think the politician on the script, because there's anytime a politician sees a Mezephiles, like they are highly incentivized to really hide from both teams.
And I think politician is really fun on this script. I know there's a lot of discourse going on in the community about politician, but I think with the characters on this script, the politician really has incentive to hide and play both sides for as long as possible. Especially with a snake charmer, right? Like, can you imagine a politician that goes super hard and evil? Like, yes, they win, like, so it doesn't really help that. It doesn't help them, but by doing damage to the good team, you are effectively like, can you imagine if you're the politician that doesn't do enough, but makes it so the snake charmer is able to win as a demon?
Yeah. Have you had any standout games of this, Kota? We played it once on the Angel stream. I remember it being a good game, but like, what's the highlight game that you've had of this? We mentioned a few times it was played.
I am bad at remembering things. Every time this script is played, it always seems to end in a game where everyone just kind of sits back and goes, "Oh, that was really cool." I think that's the highlight.
It's a script that always produces good, interesting games, kind of like Revenge of the Martian Vampires. Like, it's just a reliable script.
Yeah. Legitimately, like, please tell me if I'm wrong. I did not get a chance to catch the Angels game. I think I was doing something at the time. And if I did, I don't remember it. I probably did. But like, I think every single time I've seen this script played,
on that,
there's never been.
On that, Lyra asks if it was the script where she was the politician leech host. I think it might have been. So if that jogs a memory.
So legitimately, you just said that politician leech host. At the very least, that's fucking interesting. I can't speak for the players in the game. I don't know if it was a feels bad ending, or if even for Lyra as the politician leech host.
Lyra says it was awesome.
My God, that's insane.
Yeah. On the subject of the Mezephiles, to take a slight detour, and then I'll get back to what you were saying. Yeah, Lyra went into Final 3 literally unable to lose.
Always a good position to be in.
Yeah. Vespa asks, I saw something interesting on the TPI stream / Discord yesterday. The other day. What are your thoughts on something to avoid Mez just going, say this word, please? Something like, if you're mad, you're the Mez, something bad happens. So, I mean, that is kind of the point of the Mezephiles, to convince somebody to turn evil. It's not like as, oh, you have to be really convincing as I think it should be, because there are people, Navian, for example, and probably you as well, Dakota, who will just go, yeah, I'll say the word. Just come at me with the word. I'll say it.
Hell yeah.
Which I think...
Damn straight.
which I think kind of works. Like, I get it, I get why you'd want to do that, but I think it kind of works against the idea of the Mezephiles. I personally house rule it so that the word has to be said for online purposes. The word has to be said either in public or in a private consultation with the storyteller. But I do think that the idea is that you have to be you have to put up an argument. So what do you two think about that?
I mean, I disagree. I do think, though, that the Mezephiles has some legitimate critique to it, in the sense that a Mezephiles is incentivized to go to the players that are, that always want to turn evil, want to play evil, enjoy the mechanic of playing evil. It incentivizes you to not go to players that don't enjoy turning or playing for evil. But that's more of a social issue, which you could try addressing with your group in various ways. So, like, I don't have a problem with the way that you house rule it. I think that does sort of address some of that legitimate critique that the Mezephiles, sort of within a group that knows each other well, gets stuck in a rut, or within a group that they don't know, could run the risk of accidentally going to one of those people that is just going to immediately out them, only because they just don't know any better.
So what do you think?
I'll also just add real quickly that I understand. I'm one of the people that will just take the word. I understand that why you wouldn't want to, but at the same time, like, I think the Mezephiles as a character, as it currently is written, it kind of plays into both of those things, right? You can take the word if you want it, and you can play as evil. Or if you want to backstab the other person and get rid of an evil, you can definitely do that. And I think traversing that battlefield is kind of what makes the Mezephiles interesting, in my opinion. Having to figure out, okay, who is willing to take this word? Who do I need to be careful about?
Yeah, I mean, I do think that it's a legitimate criticism of the character, personally. But yeah, that is more of a grand scale thing. But I interrupted you with Lyra's point earlier, Kota. You were talking about games of this script.
Oh yeah, it was just the end. Basically, that was the end. I've never seen a game with this script and where people didn't go away being like, "Oh, that was really fun."
Fair. Yeah. I was in a game the other day. It was a World Cup game last week with a Vig killed Mezephiles, which was fun.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, we got it down to final 3 of me, the demon, and a good player who, well, they weren't good anymore because they've been turned the previous day.
Yes, I remember that game. Watching it, I mean.
Yeah, that reminds me. Rishi reminds me in chat. Navian, why did you set my laptop charger to auto destruct last week?
Revenge for making me agree to the deal of no kicking down signs for a week.
Well, the week wasn't technically over yet.
Yeah, I had to get my revenge.
Fine. Yes, but let's talk about the script. What are the?
Well, I would like to say Nate W says this is Coda scripts, correct? I like the script a lot. Well, thank you, Nate W. I like your face.
Okay. This is indeed Coda scripts, and it's a script that we're going to be playing tomorrow, so it'll be good fun. So yeah, any other interactions, like specific interactions that call to you as being interesting on the script, Kota? There's a couple that I see, but I want to give you the first chance to list them.
Oh, well, I can't wait to hear what you and Navian say, because one of the things that one of my strengths as a storyteller, and I think as a script maker, I think they're both the same, is just kind of stumbling into cool interactions or like coming up with outside of the box plays. So like specific interactions that happen every single time are not my forte, It's why I go to skills into Navy and into Alejo with any script I make, because they have a better eye for like the nitty gritty things. Which, you know, I don't think that makes me a bad scriptwriter or a bad storyteller. I just think it's different tools, right? Different
Sure.
bonuses. But one of the things I really like about the script a lot is I like how the 3 demons interplay. They
Yes.
all interact with poisoning. They all interact with in their own special way, and none of them, all 3 of them can be outed in some way, but none of the 3 of them are going to be outed in like a definitive. No, it has to be this one. Besides the leech, but that's half of the leech's fun.
Yeah.
I think we'll talk about the demons first then, because the Nodashi and the leech. I like the Nodashi. I don't like the leech. It's fine if other people do, but the reasons I don't like the leech has nothing to do with what I'm about to say, which is that the Nodashi and the leech can be really quite a liability. Their poison can be quite a liability if you can prove that somebody's ability didn't work, right? Obviously, they cover each other in that sense. Like, do you execute the person whose ability didn't work? Do you execute their neighbors? Do you just wait and see if they die tonight because of the pucker? But there are no characters on this script that like really are going to know most of the time that their ability hasn't worked. And if they do, then it'll probably be too late for them to figure out exactly why. So the monk can pretty easily figure it out. The sailor, I suppose the sailor is the most likely to have to be executed, and that might end the game. But if they're next to a Nodashi, then why did their ability not work? But did their ability not work because they were poisoned by Nodashi, or did it just not work because the sailor ability doesn't always work? So yeah, I think that the leech and the Nodashi avoid the common pitfall of having characters whose abilities provably don't work on this script.
Yeah, but I also think that adds to a really cool social interaction where you like to solve a game of Clock Tower, right? Or to try to win one, right? You have to kind of figure out what demon is in play, because then you can change. Then you can figure out all your other worlds. I think it makes it really cool because you have to decide what information are you trusting. There's a chambermaid that comes out and says this is a number, but it makes sense because the demon is bluffing something that makes sense. The general comes out and says evil is winning, but it's day 2. The town crier comes out and says no minion nominated, but like half of the group nominated. You have 3 pieces of information on day 2. What pieces of that do you trust? All of that can be true at the same time, right? Or one of that could be poisoned. Or maybe the chambermaid and the snake, or that's the snake charmer, the chambermaid and the town crier are sitting next or on either side of the Nodashi, and both of those pieces of information are hot bullshit. You have to decide what piece of information you're going to trust and what piece of information you're going to distrust to solve the demon problem, and you can do that. But it's a very social way to solve the demon problem, and I like it.
Yeah, I think to move on to one of my thoughts on the script, and I think that Nathan will agree with me on this one. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is the monk has a 2/3 chance of having an excellent interaction and a 1/3 chance of having a pretty poor interaction. Do you agree with that, Nathan?
Yeah.
The monk is really interesting with the Nodashi and the leech because the poison players can get good information, can be sober and healthy. Their abilities can work. So a sailor next to the Nodashi, picked by the monk, hey, they can survive execution. That's fun. In fact, the sailor goes before the monk, right?
Yes.
So the sailor doesn't have chance to drunk themselves. So if the monk picks them and they were poisoned by a Nodashi or a leech, then I think they have to survive that day and no one is drunk, right?
Okay, let's look at this in the minutia. All right, so the sailor goes first. I'm pretty sure.
So the sailor picks let's say the sailor is poisoned by the Nodashi and picks the savant.
Right.
Then the monk
and
picks
then
the
the
sailor.
monk picks the sailor. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you have a sailor who is not drunking anybody because they were poisoned at the time that their token would go down.
Yeah.
Therefore, the token doesn't go down. So when they're unpoisoned, that doesn't take place. So you have an unkillable sailor who's not drunking anybody.
However, they are killable the next day because then they're poisoned again because the monk only protects during the night.
That is correct, yes. They're killable during the day. They're unkillable that night, I should specify.
Yeah. But that's like a bit of a weird interaction, but that is an interesting one for the sailor with the monk. But there are, if for some reason you think that your ability is working, again, there aren't many characters on the script where that's the case. Maybe the pacifist is another example. Oh no, that's another daytime thing. You get the point. That could be because of the monk, even in a Nodashi or a Leech game. However, in a Puka game, the monk can protect people a night in advance as well as the night of the protection. So with the Puka, the monk has 2 chances to protect.
2 bites of the cherry, which is a script that we all need to finish.
2 bites of the cherry.
Yes, can we please finish that, please? I love 2 bites of the cherry. That's my favorite thing.
So yeah, that is the first 2/3 excellent interaction, 1/3 eh. I just wanted to ask if you thought about that one, Kota.
Well, so yes and no, right? Puka was the hardest demon to get right on this.
It's funny because the monk and the Puka were both my suggestion, and I'm blaming you for it. But go ahead.
Yeah, no, but legitimately though, I forget there was one demon that one of you guys suggested that I just left off. It wasn't even on the first one. But like once we had our 3 demons, I was determined to make these 3 demons work. And I think we did. I do agree that the Puka and the monk is a meh interaction. I don't think it spoils the bunch. I think monk Puka is meh, right? Like it's not god awful. It's meh. And I think that, but to answer your question, it was thought about. I had to think really long and hard about Puka. And when we were making the additions, the non-chosen characters, right? Because there's 13 townsfolk. You guys chose 2 each at best. There was 8. There was like 4 I had to pick on my own. And for the outsiders, and making any like changes, Nodashi and Leech just kind of works for the most part. There are some interactions that you have to be careful about, but for the most part, they just kind of work. The Puka was probably the most finicky demon on this script.
Puka is just the most finicky demon of all of the base demons.
Yeah.
It's why I love it.
With some of the expansion characters, the Vortox can be a little finicky.
Yeah, I have opinions on Vortox.
Some interesting debates regarding the Vortox and the unofficial lately, but that's not relevant. Anything. So that's the first thing that I wanted to flag. Nadian, is there anything on the script that you want to flag? Talk about whether it's an excellent interaction or something that sends alarm bells ringing. Anything?
So, one thing to note is the pacifist leech interaction, which always requires players to meta their storyteller. Would you, as a storyteller, use the pacifist to save the leech host? And I think that sometimes that can feel bad to have to go down that rabbit hole.
So I think this was the script that started that there was a Sunday where we had a massive debate about, I think Lo was the pacifist. And I think there was this script that we played that caused that massive debate about would you pacifist protect the leech host?
Yeah, it's a bit of a potentially rough area where I think most people know that is a storyteller just blatantly running the pacifist as an outsider, and most good storytellers wouldn't do that, even if it ends up being like a day 1 random execution, right? Sometimes that just happens and you just re-rack and you to have a different game instead of using a pacifist as an outsider, because that feels real fucking bad for the pacifist.
Obviously, the addendum to that is that this is a script with a Mezephiles on it, so maybe that pacifist is evil.
True. If you have an evil pacifist, is it okay to save the leech host? Maybe.
Maybe once early.
I would say yes. I would say that's the only case where it's okay to save a leech host with a pacifist ability is if they are mess turned or bounty hunter turned.
Yeah. So the one thing that I will note is that there's no reason to double tap on the script, except for potentially the one outside scenario where your pacifist has been turned by the Mezephiles and is saving the leech host, because there's no devil's advocate, right? So if anybody survives execution, they are either explicitly the sailor, a good player because the pacifist saved them, or the leech, and you, for the most part, you don't double tap that ever. So there are definitely some people who have some legitimate concerns about like a leech and a DA on the script, for example. I personally don't share those feelings, but there are some people out there who argue that is a bad combo. They don't like it. But what I would suggest maybe is maybe consider replacing pacifist with something else, because at this point you have 3 reasons for somebody to survive execution and for them to just never ever get targeted again ever. But I don't think the leech needs that much cover in a script that doesn't have a DA, right? Like, you could take out one of these and replace it with something else, and I think probably have... Again, my suggestion would probably be to take out pacifist, because that's the one that feels the worst for player meta standpoint. But replace it with a different townsfolk instead.
I think, with the exception, obviously, of the pacifist saving the leech host, that's always something to be aware of. But I think that the pacifist, obviously the joke is that the pacifist is an outsider. I would argue that the sailor is actually more of an outsider, because like the sailor's ability is that you can't die, but that a player is drunk until dusk. And usually, as a storyteller, you'll pick the player that is most harmful to the good team to drunk. And if every night the sailor picks the drunks themselves, which is the flaw of that, then they functionally don't have an ability, right?
I actually think that looking at it as I, as the storyteller, am going to pick whatever is worst for town is the right way to look at Sailor. I do agree that if you run Sailor that way, if you look at it as I'm going to choose whatever is most harmful here, you're probably running Sailor in as an outsider. But if you have a different philosophical viewpoint on where you stand with Sailor and how you choose what you drunk with it, then I think it isn't an outsider.
Yeah, I mean, at least online where good has an advantage, that's typically the way the sailor goes. And the flaw of the sailor's ability is you don't have an ability, right? Because if the sailor drinks themselves every night, then they just don't have an ability.
Right.
Usually, in an in-person game, you'll drunk townsfolk and not drunk others as a rule, which basically means that each night one player doesn't have an ability. Obviously, there's social advantages to that. You can trace it. It provides some information to town. It can confirm certain people. But, like, strictly from a mechanical perspective, the sailor causes a player to not have an ability for the entire game on average, for as long as the sailor's alive. But given that, and the pacifist, as I said, a lot of people consider it an outsider. I don't, but it is what it is. Even if the pacifist saves an outsider, the politician, obviously they're probably going to save the saint if that's a coordinated plan. I've seen.
Well, the saint being saved.
I have seen saints nominate themselves because they've heard of a pacifist and just look to the storyteller and be like, "Yeah, what the fuck are you going to do about it?"
I don't like that. I would just let the saint die by execution and let the game end. I'm sorry, you're playing with fire.
I would kill that.
I'd kill that. Yeah.
You're already playing with fire by trusting the pacifist. It's a trust fall. It's fine. But it's not the point. It's not the point. My My point is, the pacifist and the sailor, I think, are kind of weaker townsfolks overall. And the fact that somebody dying from execution, even just one player not dying from execution, turns them into really quite strong townsfolk that you don't have to then double tap. And I don't think that that's necessarily a harmful thing for the script balance, because I think it's still a pretty well balanced script anyway. But go ahead, Kurt.
Well, first, thank you for saying my script is well balanced. I appreciate that. Secondly, because that's the thing I struggle with the most is balance, right? I'm a chaos agent. Most of my scripts are unbalanced in a fun way. So it's good to have a script that is decently balanced. I was going to say that for the Saint pacifist thing, I think you protect a Saint in some situations, but if they're actively daring you, they're dead. They're 1,000% dead. Don't dare me. You're dead.
No, I'm happy for I personally am happy for the pacifist to use their ability in that way. If this, like, the Saint is taking such a huge gamble, I'm like, I think you have to admire that, and I think it's fun, and I think it's interesting, and I think that's why you have to let that go.
I think sometimes you should probably let that go, sure, and sometimes you should just let the Saint die and the game be over. And sometimes evil will bluff it, and that's what'll happen because you literally can't do anything. But I do actually think that in terms of the pacifists saving the outsiders here, the klutz or the sweetheart is probably the most townsfolky thing to do with a pacifist with regards to saving an outsider, right? You are preventing a player from becoming drunk if you save a sweetheart, and you are preventing the klutz from making their choice if they are, say, if you as the storyteller know that they are leaning towards, say, choosing an evil player, or you as a storyteller know that, like, right now at this point in the game, with the certain number of players alive and a certain number of them being evil, that they're more likely to choose an evil player. You can kind of use the pacifist who's still alive to help give the klutz a little bit more time.
Right, but my point was not using it as a townsfolk. It was using it as quote unquote an outsider by protecting someone that you wouldn't always necessarily protect. Like let's say that's to use the extreme example where it's questionable, but let's use the extreme example of the sailor who is next to a Nodashi, and who picked that Nodashi. They're executed, and you save them with the pacifist. Like, yes, the pacifist is then following up an evil bluff and saying that player can't really be the Nodashi, but in exchange for that, the good team are getting a player who they know they never need to execute. And I think that's really powerful. So I think that the pacifist can do the things on BMR that would be, don't do that. That is just using a townsfolk ability for the evil team, like protecting someone who it would be beneficial for the evil team to die, but in such a way that it helps the good team because of the rest of the script.
I disagree. I think you're fundamentally giving like the exact same scenario here as what people argue against in BMR, right? That's just using the pacifist to save somebody who sat next to the tea lady when evil was on the other side. It's literally just that, but Nodashi instead of tea lady.
Sure, but the difference is there's no devil's advocate on the script. If you do that,
sure, yes, that does make it less harmful.
Like what you were saying, that if you execute somebody and they don't die, you never need to execute them again. Like that is such a powerful thing. That I think
but I also
it's
think
worth that trade.
Having two roles on the script that do that is probably more than is necessary because there's no devil's advocate.
Maybe. I don't know. I think it's fine, but I appreciate what you're saying.
I mean, I agree. I'm definitely being nitpicky here.
I also have never thought about it, so legitimately, like whether or not it changes, whether or not it actually, like you said, is nitpicky, right? I still think it's interesting. That's the thing I love about script notes, and I love about like deciphering scripts, is because just because there's a problem with the script doesn't mean it's bad.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? I know I'm talking about my script, so I'm gonna not do that. But what I'm saying is like, if just because there's a nitpicky, like maybe this isn't perfect, doesn't mean it's not a well-balanced script. And I think sometimes script makers get into the weeds a little bit too much on their own and go, well, this interaction is a little bit finicky, so let's get rid of it. We have to get rid of it. And sometimes you don't have to get rid of it.
Yeah, I always appreciate from the point of view of our guests, in this case you, Kota, where you bring on a script and there's an interaction that you never thought about, and then Navy and I would just spend 5 minutes arguing about whether it's brilliant or terrible.
I love it. It's my favorite part. It's literally just hanging out with you two. That's why I agreed to come on here. I agreed to come on here before I knew Navian was going to be back on here. And when Alejo told me it was going to be me, Alejo, and Navian, I was like, oh, I get to just sit in the middle while Alejo and Navian argue about my script for 5 minutes. Okay, cool.
Yeah, if we didn't have Navian, we would have pushed it back 2 weeks, Kota. But we did. What else have we got? I really like. You to that?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry. You're a little bit quiet. I really like the Baron on the script with these outsiders. Obviously, you have to have some form of outsider manipulation for the script to work, but I think the Baron is the perfect one because you've got a mix of very visible and very invisible outsiders. And I think that's what the Baron needs.
My favorite thing recently has been how people play Sweetheart and Klutz. Some people play it very open, like get it out of the way, get out of the way, get out of the way. Some people play it very open, like hide, basically I'm the mutant. And some people play it like me. What I have been playing recently is if the demon wants to kill me, great. It'll call it drunkenness, or I'll have to make a choice. But it will waste the kill for the demon. I do not want to be executed. I will wait. I'll be open that I am this role, but I don't want to be executed. Let the demon waste their time on me. And I think there's so many cool ways to play Sweetheart and Klutz, and I love it when they're on the same script.
I do think, like, one of the joys of Blood on the Clock Tower is that as much as people try, as we were saying earlier, it is really hard to optimize. I do think the most quote-unquote optimized play with the Klutz is to go early, is to just get yourself executed early and make a guess, just because the numbers are in your favor. But yeah, there's if you're a social player, you probably don't want to do that. If you're a player who trusts your reads, you want to trust those reads, right? And the longer you've got to get those reads, the better. If you want to bait the demon, that's awesome. Like, that's the great thing about the game. There's so many ways to play it.
Why I love it.
Yeah.
Indeed.
So the I think the other large question mark that I have by the script is going to be the chambermaid, because all of the demons, like the chambermaid, is a tricky one to balance if there's not a Zomble and either a leech or a Puka on the script, right? Because if you learn that somebody woke, you learn that somebody didn't wake on the night that isn't the first night, and on this script, most likely the night that is the first night as well, then you have learned that they are not the demon, right?
Sorry, can you say the question one more
time? So if the chambermaid learns that a player did not wake on this script ever, pretty much, unless it's specifically a Nodashi, then you've probably learned that they're not the demon, right?
Yeah, but I will also say with the chambermaid that basically you have to have chosen that player on day one, right? And then choose that player on one other day that is 2, 3, or 4. To be fair, you don't have to choose them on day one. But you have to choose them more than once, I would say.
I mean, if you ever get a 0, you know that neither of those two players are the demon if you don't have any particular reason not to trust your info.
True.
But there is reason to not trust your info. What if you're sat next to a Nodashi? What if you're Puka poisoned? What if you're the leech host? What if you're the drunk?
I mean, the Nodashi is irrelevant if the people aren't sat anywhere near you. You could be the drunk, and that's always something that you got to factor in. You could be leech poisoned. That is always true. But when you die night 3, that one's pretty much resolved.
I would also argue that, right? Because like these minions, the witch wakes up every single day. That's the only one besides Mizephiles on night 1. It might be helpful, especially if the witch is killing. to if you are the Nodashi and you picked Homie across the grim from you, and you got a 0, but they were the witch. Yeah, they're not the demon, but are you going to push on them?
Sure. It's not a huge problem. It's just quite a strong character at the best of times, and I think it's even stronger here.
I know that you are very finicky when it comes to chambermaid, and I understand it and I agree with it. I really like chambermaid as a role. I love playing in games that have chambermaids because it makes me think about my bluffs and what I want to bluff and how I want to bluff. Um, I think the interesting thing that's with the demon, right? Yeah, they're not the demon if they get a 0, but there's so many rolls that you're not gonna like. There's very few players you'll get a 0 on in this script.
Yeah, that's true. There is plenty of cover.
You unless you pick a washerwoman, a juggler, or a pacifist, you are going or a savant, which
or
is
any
four
or any of the outsiders, bar the drunk.
Yeah, true. You're gonna you're gonna get a number.
Like I think the Saint, for example, and to a lesser extent the Boom Dandy, only really work if you can think that they might be specifically demons. And I think that the Chambermaid, to a degree, alleviates that problem.
I would agree in theory, not necessarily in practice all the time, because the chambermaid would have to choose that player. There had to be a chambermaid in play. But I do agree in theory that chambermaid does take a little bit of the sting out of the Boom Dandy. But then again, something that I have noticed a lot is when talking about like theory, right, and like different characters, we can sit here and we can nitpick the actual character, which is the whole point of this podcast, right? I appreciate that. But what happens if that chambermaid gets that really great information, but no one believes them, and they're just being stitched up, and they're being sold down 7 different rivers? Yeah, that will happen 1 out of 80 times. I appreciate that, but I think it's interesting the different ways a chambermaid can get bad information or just not be trusted.
Yeah, fair.
I also don't think there's anything as strong as a chambermaid on this script. So having, because like I will admit, like chambermaid and I said earlier, Puka, both of them almost lost the cut. I almost got rid of the chambermaid. I believe in an iteration in between 1.1 and 1.2, the chambermaid was removed. We added it back on, but we did remove it originally. But I don't think there's anything else on this script that is as powerful as the chambermaid. So one powerful role that can be OP. I mean, like, how many scripts have any of the numbers, right? That and not too many ways to poison it. Like a clockmaker, if it's not poisoned or drunk, can be really powerful. A chef. I appreciate that chambermaid can do that over multiple nights. I don't know. I tend to, when I'm building scripts, I tend to lean into powerful characters rather than shy away from them. Personally, maybe that's just my philosophy on script building. Maybe it's a wrong philosophy, but that's just kind of how I build scripts personally.
Fair enough. But I suppose that my next question then down that line is going to be, what's the thinking behind the Oracle here? You don't have an Imp, you don't have a Fangu, you don't have a Vigor Mortis, you don't have any real reason for evil players to die at night. So that Oracle is going to be they're going to look at the players who are executed, kind of like the Undertaker does.
Yeah. So I'm trying to see if the Oracle's on the first iteration. It was. So the answer to your question is one of you guys suggested it, and that's why it's on here, right? That is kind of like the easy answer. But if I were to look at it objectively as a scriptwriter, I think it's an interesting way to look at the Oracle, because I am I am always a proponent of, well, a demon can get rid of a minion at night to get social trust. If a Mez turns a character, I 1000% kill that Mez as a Puka or a Leech. 1000%, 100% every single time. And so especially if, say, there is a player who's really suspicious socially, but I know they're good. And so say they're even powerful. Say it's the Sailor or say it's the Undertaker, right? And we get to kill them in the day. I'm immediately killing the Meds if they've turned somebody, because the Oracle is going to think just that. They're going to think, oh, well, there's not a real good reason why the minion will die at night, so I guess the Undertaker is probably evil. I appreciate that that's not how everyone plays that, and that's not like a typical way, but I mean, I think it's a really interesting way to look at that.
Sure. I mean, Leech has got to kill the minions at some point eventually, right?
Yeah. And like there is care, like even the Baron, right? Like the Baron can easily be killed at night. That doesn't like it once the Baron's in play, the Baron does the damage. Yes, it's always helpful to have an extra evil player.
You gotta
I'm not saying that
you want to get that you want to get the golden final 3.
Yeah, I'm not saying that like that it is rather that sorry, words are hard. I'm not saying that every single game the exchange between social credibility and sheer numbers is worth it, but I think it's worth it more than people actually do it.
Yeah, I can buy that. We have a question from chat right now, which is from, where's it gone? You got it, Navian. You know the one. It's the one you answered.
Yes, curious what the reason for Boom Dandy on the script is, though I'm guessing it's chaos.
It's from Vespa.
So, I believe, like, okay, so again, the answer to that question is someone suggested it and I added it. But yeah, it's chaos. It's adding nonsense to the game. It's adding reasons for people to play the game differently. I am a proponent of Boom Dandy and Goblin. I just am. I think they're like I think they're not like salt. They're like tahini. You could put it on every single drink and it'll make it better, right? If you put a Boom Dandy and a Goblin on a script, I'm gonna have fun for the most part. I'm aware that's not everybody's opinion. Some people don't like tahini on their cocktails, but to me, Boom Dandy and Goblin are really fun. And yeah, that's why Boom Dandy's here.
I pretty much only drink water, so I have no idea what you're talking about. But that's fair enough.
Well, for the alcoholics in chat, they get me.
Yeah, I've with the Goblin. I've found it's one of the characters that my opinion has been changing on lately. Like, I always used to see it as quite a, I don't know, not a weak character, but a frustrating character, in a sense.
Annoying character?
Maybe no, not even. But now I'm starting to see it as still a weak and annoying character, but a fun one, you know. And as we were saying earlier, we are here to have fun.
I think Boom Dandy in the conscience also did a similar thing to that, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Where when the Boom Dandy first came out, people were very heavy-fisted with the Boom Dandy, and it was very easy to tell when someone was the Boom Dandy. But as the Boom Dandy has been getting into the circles, into different play styles, I've had 2 Boom Dandy recently where no one knew the Boom Dandy was the Boom Dandy.
Yeah.
And that's the most fun, is when you're just like, yeah, I'm the chef, and everyone believes you're the chef. Maybe a poisoned washwoman saw you as the chef, and you die, and then everyone else is sitting there like, okay, time to go to bed, and all of a sudden, and this person dies, and this person dies, and everyone goes, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I think that's the most fun you can have in Clock Tower, is those moments, not just for Boom Dandy, but for any character, where you just go, well, wait, what? What do you mean?
Yeah. I have always preferred the Boom Dandy to the Goblin. It's one of the big changes that I was always excited to have when it came out on my my own script. I'm liking the Goblin more than I used to now, but I still think I love the Boom Dandy just that little bit extra.
Can I tell you of a really cool interaction I'd love to do with this script, but it
Please.
happened to me recently in that same vein. So this happened to me twice in a row, 2 games in a row. The first time was great. The second time was a little bit annoying. But in the
I think I
first
know what this is going to be. Go on.
Yep, in the first game, I was the leech. And I had a leech host, and everything was great. And my minion was one of my minions was preachered on the first night, and then we go for the day. We stay alive. Evil is still alive. All 3 evils are still alive. We go to sleep. We wake up, and the game is over because the Philo lycanthrope had Lycan killed my leech host.
Yeah.
The next game, I'm a minion. My fellow minion gets preachered on night 1. We go for the day. We get a minion off the block. Everyone's happy. Evil is trusted. We wake up, and the Philo lycanthrope has chosen the leech host.
Yeah, I saw that happen on the unofficial again yesterday.
Wait, that happened on the unofficial too?
That happened yesterday, yeah.
Rip.
This is why these characters need to be jinxed.
Yeah, personally, I just tend to avoid lycanthrope on a script with leech most of the time. There are some people who sort of house rule around that, right? That the leech host will register as evil to the lycanthrope, but ultimately, most of the time, if a lycanthrope misses, right, if their other hits have gone off and then they suddenly miss, they're gonna go after that player anyway. So I feel like that doesn't fully resolve the issue, and it's more just a script design-wise. They probably just don't really belong together all that much.
I mean, I think that's
sure.
I think that's kind of just a problem with the lycanthrope.
For sure. But it was interesting the first
lycanthrope is hard to balance.
Yeah.
It was fun the first time, even as the demon, to wake up expecting a normal game and then go, this person has died, and be like, wait, I didn't choose them, and this person has died. The game is over.
Yeah.
That was very much like, oh, well, fuck.
I don't know if either of you caught my Sunday games last night, but we were playing just normal Sex and Violets, and the demon jumped on night 1. Sorry, Lyra. I know you're in chat. And then the new demon was executed the day after because they were in a double claim with the previous demon who had died the day before. Gets better. It gets better. And then that night, the pit hag tried to turn the evil twin into the philosopher so they could basically poison the good twin. Fortunately, there was a philosopher already in the game, so it didn't quite pan out like that. But they didn't win that game.
Oh, I mean, that was a clever thought on their part, but didn't fully work through how that interaction would work, huh?
Yeah.
I really like what I heard about the second game. I think it was on your channel. Did you have the game?
Sorry, no, Nathan. Just be clear. The pit hag didn't know who the previous demon was. They thought it was a good player who was executed. So they didn't they had no way to know that turning the evil twin into a different character would end the game.
Rough.
They did actually almost win it.
Wasn't yesterday also the day where you had a 2 grandmothers in one game?
Well, we had a BMR where the grandmother was resurrected and we gave them the same grandchild.
Maybe it wasn't. I heard of a game yesterday.
Game.
There's a traveler.
Patter's also ran a game yesterday.
Oh, right. Then it was probably Patter's where there was a traveler. It was a traveler. The one that gives you a character's ability.
The apprentice. Yeah, no, we didn't have an apprentice.
The apprentice grandmother whose grandchild was the grandmother.
Amazing. that's your great grandmother.
Yep. That was a really good. I didn't get to watch that game. I just was told about it, and it was really good.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, my script. Hold up.
Anything else that we need to touch on? So Preacher Boom Dandy isn't as bad as Preacher Goblin, but it can still be a little bit rough. if if a player is being like,
depends on how outed evil the Boom Dandy is playing, right? Like the Boom Dandy generally wants to be suspicious enough that they'll get executed, but not so suspicious that people aren't going to do it because they'll be like, clearly that's a Boom Dandy. But at the same time, that level of suspiciousness might still get them picked by a preacher.
Right. Like, because you're going to be executing the people who you think are suspicious, but the preacher is going to be picking the people who they think are suspicious. So, like, evil players that won't get executed, kind of, or minions specifically that won't get executed, kind of don't go the best with the preacher, in my opinion.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
It's not...
At the same time, though, I do think that it does make for interesting, potentially quite powerful bluffs on the evil teams. But, like, if there's not a preacher in play, right? Like, theoretically, if you have a goblins claim goblin and a preacher is a demon bluff, and whoever is taking that bluff ends up being pretty well trusted, and they claim to have preached the goblin, and then you get a goblin win, right?
Yeah,
like, there's ways to undermine it.
There absolutely are. I mean, you don't.
I think it's even funner with the Boom Dandy because not only do you have to do that, right? But then you then have to make sure your demon is like super under the radar. Because if they're not, then it's like narrowed down. But if you can pull it off where your demon gets socially trusted, you get socially trusted, claim you are the preacher, Boom Dandy, you and your demon are left alive, you can just get that kill.
Oh god. God, the play there is the witch says it's fine. Oh no, that doesn't work. No. I was going to say the witch says it's fine. I've preached them, and then nominates them and dies because they cursed themselves to make themselves look extra trusted. But then, if they were the preacher, then they would have their ability back. So that's sad.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. But it was a nice idea.
You could actually use that to try to draw out your witch killer. You could be like, well, I'm the preacher and I preach to them, but I don't want to nominate them because if I'm witch cursed, then I'll die and they'll have their ability back. So can somebody else nominate for me and try to get your witch kill on somebody else off?
Yeah. But if you're going to get the Boom Dandy, you probably don't want to get the witch curse. You want that.
Maybe.
I think you want the player who nominated the Boom Dandy to be in your final three, right?
But I mean, it becomes pretty obvious that you're just not the preacher.
Unless you're working together. Like you, the demon, and the person that you got to nominate.
Oh, and the person that you got to nominate. Yeah. I suppose that's in theory, yeah.
That's the dream final three for you there, I think.
So to be fair, I think Raheel is right where you don't want the witch go off, because if you are the preacher or if you're the minion in that position, you're going to want to be the demon. You're going to want to appear as the demon, because if you can appear as the demon, everyone's like, oh, well, that was a really clever play, but let's just kill the demon, and they kill you instead of your actual demon.
Then maybe you do that as the demon, so that everyone is like, yeah, that's a pretty clever minion play. And then you just sat there just cackling because you're the demon.
I love this game. I love everything about this game.
You could just be like, yeah, I'm evil. Am I a minion? Am I the demon? You figure it out.
Always fun.
Yeah.
There is one thing that I want to note in the townsfolk. So you had spy on here before, and obviously that works great with washerwoman, right? Because a washerwoman can ping off of a spy, or a spy could be a washerwoman, so it becomes a little bit less like super hard confirmation. So I feel like the washerwoman is definitely strengthened by the loss of the spy. That being said, I do love this selection of minions.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say.
But here's the thing. You have both Saint and Klutz on this script. And don't get me wrong, these are fantastic outsiders. I adore both of these outsiders. I think they're super fun. I love conditional game end conditions, whether that is for good or for evil. They're one of my favorite mechanics in games in general. That and alignment switching. That probably tells you a lot about, why I play the way I play. But anyway, you do have two of them on here. And I'm not sure there's necessarily a need to have two different outsiders that could both cause immediate game-ending conditions. You could potentially whittle the script down to one of them and put spy on the script as well.
I wonder what.
So you have 5 minions.
Okay. I was going to say, I wonder what outsider you're going to suggest to replace them.
No, spy to replace them.
It's basically the same thing,
that's
right?
the outsider. It's the spy registering as an outsider, right?
Well, I can't remember why I got rid of the spy. There was a reason. Someone pitched a reason. Do you guys see a reason why spy wouldn't work on this script?
Not immediately.
If we got rid of one of the Cluster the Saint.
Yeah, personally, I think Snake Charmer is really interesting when you do have a minion that can see the Grim, because they have to make choices about what to tell their demon, which I think is interesting. I think that Washerwoman is certainly more interesting with a spy.
5 words. 5 words. Spy saved by evil pacifist.
I think I've decided before the game tomorrow I'm going to put a spy on here. This is what we decided?
Yeah, I actually really enjoy the spy pacifist interaction, even if your spy, even if the pacifist isn't evil there.
Yeah, I mean, that comes back to the same thing we were talking about earlier, right? Like, they know that they don't need to kill the spy then.
Yeah, and more importantly with that specific interaction is there's no way for the spy to take over being the demon, right?
Yeah.
If you were to pacifist save the spy with an imp on the script, I think that would be a lot more questionable. Yeah. Whereas if you spy save the save the spy with the pacifist, wow, I can get words in the right order, I promise. If you save the spy with the pacifist with no way for the spy to become the demon, then that's, arguably a lot more of a balanced choice, because yes, it saves an evil player, but it also tells you specifically who the demon is definitely not.
Right. And as we said, no reason to execute them. Is there anything that doesn't work with the spy? Spy Snake Charmer is always an interesting combination. Spy Preacher is always a weird combination.
Spy Snake Charmer Leech is a fun combination, especially if your Leech picks a really bad target. Yes. And you just sell him off the river, and you go to the Snake Charmer and go, well, shit. Okay, you, friend, pick this person tomorrow. And then you go and tell your actual demon that you're like the Mistepheles or something.
Yeah. Pretend that you're a baron and just name a couple of people as outsiders. I mean, you have a drunk on the script, right? So you can pretend that just one townsfolk is flat out just the drunk that you added in.
I do love watching a widow and a spy try and figure out exactly how much they want to tell the demon in a Snake Charmer game.
Mm-hmm.
But by the same token, if they do tell the demon who the Snake Charmer is and they get Snake Charmed, that's really sad. But if that doesn't happen, it's interesting.
It's a mistake that I think people make or see pretty much like only once. They do it once and then they learn their very hard-learned lesson about do not tell your demon who the Snake Charmer is.
Yeah. The third
you could also try the method of keeping your chat with the spy, with your demon as the spy, really, really fast, and just being like, look, I'm just going to tell you, you need to kill this player and this player and then this player, and, leave everybody else alone for now, right? Like, without even saying specifically what they are, just be like, these are high-level targets. And maybe try to just get them to kill off the Snake Charmer if you don't want a Snake Charming to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, the Mollabok says that the Mez and the spy can combine.
Turn the Snake Charmer. Nice.
It can be the Snake Charmer if you like. It can be, pick a player. Like the spy gives the Mezephiles their pick of who's in town.
Yeah, and that's actually one of the ways that I like to. So, we were talking about Mez before and how the Mez often just sort of defaults to going to the players in the group that will guaranteed turn. Although, again, with a politician on this script, you need to be a little bit more careful with that, although a spy could help alleviate that somewhat. But, of course, a spy and Mez would have to be both in play, and they won't always be.
And if they are,
I actually like that. Yeah, so they're less likely to turn a politician if there's a spy and they know where that is. But also, I like when people play Mez, as I'm not just going to automatically go to who I know will say yes, although that of course is absolutely a legit strategy, and it's one that personally benefits me, so please keep doing that strategy. I'm not saying don't do that, please do. But the other strategy that you can use as a Mez is you hold on to it and you try to get claims from different people, and you try to sort of strategically pick who it is that you want to Mezephiles turn, right?
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of roles on here that would be really strong to be turned. A sailor becomes a budget poisoner. A chambermaid having, giving out wrong info. An oracle or a town crier giving out wrong info. An evil undertaker is just funny, as is an evil pacifist.
That's often how I like to play it. Just be like, who do I think is like the first day? I'll just go around getting a bunch of claims, saying absolute nonsense. Usually they'll execute someone else. I just need to survive until night 3 for that. Because I like to turn. I'm the sort of player as Mezephiles who likes to turn characters rather than players usually. So yeah, I can get behind that.
I think that's a really strong strategy. I think that, each of them have their pros and cons of strategy, right? So a con to that might be if the role that you really want to turn is a player that is just going to out you because they don't like turning, or you attempt to, like, some of the issues that can come socially with if you're attempting to trick a player into saying the word and they sort of accidentally turn evil, is that might not be fun for them because maybe they don't like it, that kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure.
So there's definitely balance between these two different strategies that rely a bit more, lean a bit more into either the social or the mechanical, and trying to find the balance between them is interesting.
You're aware where I am at right now. I am on script.bloodintheclocktower.com. My only question for you guys is a rules question. Is there any way we're having 4 outsiders is a bad thing?
So the only outsider manipulation you've got is the Baron. So you'll never need more than 4 outsiders.
And you have the drunk, which works great with the Baron. Yep, and the politician, both of whom are sort of incentivized to stay a bit hidden. One of whom is definitely hidden. One of whom is incentivized to stay hidden.
So I'd say that with the sweetheart, the drunk, the politician, and one of the saint and the klutz, you have got 4 outsiders that work really well with the Baron as a minion.
Yeah, I agree.
I got rid of the Saint. The spy is now on this script. This is Technicolor Laser Tag in Space version 1.4, ladies and gents.
Hell
and
yeah.
all the others.
All right. Well, maybe we'll make some more changes as we go along. I will say that I think the counterpoint to what you were saying that started that discussion is something that you mentioned, which is that the washerwoman, there's no spy, there's no, I guess, Vortox, but also not really. But there is the Mezephiles, and that's, I think,
that's true. There is, yes. Mezephiles does undercut a certain amount of confirmation, because a player on either side of that could either could end up evil by the end of the game.
Yeah, I love Mezephiles Virgin combo, and this is kind of
the
same thing.
I would say though, regardless, what it does tell you still though is that even if those players are turned evil, or one of them is specifically, only one can turn, but even if one of them is turned evil, they're still not the demon, and there's a strong chance that the washerwoman's most of the time is not going to hold on to their information unless they have A, seen a snake charmer, or B, they're attempting to actively get turned by a Mezephiles, right? Most people are going to, in some fashion, out that they've washerwoman confirmed somebody.
Yeah. If you're on the script website, then the thing that I would highlight, that I already did highlight, but that I would just mention, is that I think Oracle and Undertaker fill the same niche, and I'm not sure that you need both of them on the script.
Yeah, in general, I can agree with that.
I don't know what the script does need. If you've got a spy, then maybe you could put a powerful information gathering character, like a dreamer, maybe.
Well, a dreamer and Undertaker, I think, would also fill the same niche.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah, it's about confirming players, but the dreamer does that while alive, and the Undertaker does that after a player's dies.
If I were to, so here's where I stand. I hear what you're saying about the pacifist and the sailor. I'm gonna keep pacifist and sailor. I think it's a niche interaction, but I think it's one that kind of I don't want to mess with that right now, personally. Oracle Undertaker, I'm willing to get rid of the Undertaker and add Dreamer if you guys think that's a better addition. I am a little bit hesitant to mess with it because I do think it is balanced. I don't want to unbalance it, but I could see Undertaker being removed and Dreamer being added. I don't think I would remove the Oracle and add the Dreamer.
Okay,
I do think that one of the interesting things that can come out of Oracle Undertaker is you do have a decent amount of misinformation here, right? All three of the demons have some sort of poison, and there's a drunk on the script. So when an Oracle and an Undertaker, and there's a Mazepales who, of course, also adds misinformation in its own way, depending on what a player does after they're turned. But if an Oracle and an Undertaker get conflicting information, I honestly think that might be more interesting than doing Dreamer Oracle.
Piranha also raises a good point, which is that the general also kind of fills the same niche, kind of.
I would argue that. I think it fits a similar niche. I don't think it fits the same niche.
It quite often looks at who was executed the previous day, right? Not entirely. There's a bunch of things that go into it, but
I think that's the argument for why they're not in the same niche, right? That general has a lot more going into the evaluation of what the storyteller thinks, whereas the Oracle is just straight mechanical information.
Yeah, I think you'd have a game state where the general would get a good, but there would be all three evil players alive if a town knows all three evil players and exactly who they are. Definitely. Yesterday, Art named in a game on Sunday stream, Art, without no actual real information, named all three evil players and were convinced that they were on the same evil team. None of them were dead. In that instance, the general would have got a good, and the snake charmer would, or the oracle would have got a 0.
I don't think the general, the oracle, and the undertaker do the same thing, but I think they do similar things. They fill a
similar niche, yeah. I can agree that they fill a similar niche in slightly different ways, but I wonder actually if, like, on this script it's fine because of specifically the ways and like where that misinformation could be coming from.
I think that's just like the status quo of this script, where you look at these things, they're like they fill similar niches, but like when you really like sit down with it, it's like, but it's kind of fine because there's so much other things going on.
Yeah, they do fill some similar niches, but at the same time, there's not really any niches that aren't filled that like need to be. You've got the chambermaid looking for demons. You've got the town crier and the oracle looking for minions. The juggler looking to confirm good players. Like you've got everything covered. So I suppose it's not the end of the world if you have that. Just a thought. As for the pacifist and the sailor, that one's on you. Nathan and I think, disagree about whether they work together on this script, which is fine.
Yeah, it's fine. People are allowed to disagree about script design sometimes.
Yeah.
And which is why I think it's really interesting, because you both are disagreeing over two different things that being very similar, and you're on different sides of both of them. And it's just, I think what's really cool about this script in particular is that you can look at this script and it may not fit every single niche of your cup of tea, but I don't think anyone could look at the script and be like, I think this would be a bad script to play. I don't think it hits anything that makes anyone feel excluded.
No, not at all. What was the other thing I was going to
You can probably, if Navian made the script, there would be a couple different interactions. If Alejo made the script, there would be a couple different interactions. But I don't think anyone would look at the script. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, because it is my script, so I am biased, right? But I think it is a script where even with those small little things, I might change this, I might change this, it still ends up balanced somehow. It's the script that could. There's no reason for the script to be as balanced as it is.
Yeah. I think if you're adding the spy, I think Town Crier is going to be so interesting, because it's going to be like, I got to know. Did I get a no because I'm poisoned, or did I get a no because there's a spy in the game?
I fucking love misregistration. Listen, there's a reason Recluse is one of my favorites, right?
Literally everybody nominated yesterday in a 9-player game, and I got a no. Why did that happen?
Yeah. Am I
I
put
must
food
be the
poison?
leech
Is there a
host.
Nodashi? Am I the leech host? Am I the drunk? What
Am I about to
the heck?
die?
Yeah.
Yeah, Spy's on. Spy's on the script now.
Yeah, I
Just so you
think-
guys are aware.
I think
Spy
this
is
is-
on the script.
I do think this is a script which will work great in small games.
Oh yeah, that's the other. I didn't even mention that. We played, I think, a 9-player game with this at one point, and it ran just as well as a 12-player.
It is, as Rishi says, the little titties.
The little titties that
The
could.
little titties that
Little
could.
titties that
Yes.
could.
The little titties that could.
So which minion are you taking away then? Oh no,
No,
you're
I'm
not
not.
taking away. You're
I'm
taking away
taking
an
away
outsider.
One of the outsiders, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. So
Gotcha.
the change that has been made is Saint is gone because I like how sweet Heart and Klutz interact with each other, and Spy is on.
Yeah. I don't really think there's a whole lot else that I need to flag. There was something, but I can't remember what it was, so I will let that be. It was nothing major. It wasn't even necessarily anything related to the script. It was probably just a comment about something that someone said.
I will say, bringing in spy misregistration does bring up the whole, savant misregistration thing. But, it's fine. You just have to have a reasonable storyteller, but that's basically true of any custom script, in my opinion.
A lot of them, for sure. I mean, that's true of any script, including SMV with a savant on it, right? Like the savant, can always get ridiculous information.
I mean, look.
Absolutely, we have seen some examples in the community. Yep, I won't be naming names or anything, but I think a lot of people know what I'm talking about right now.
So the thing about this script, though, right, Naveen, like you said, right, some of these interactions cause like a very thoughtful storyteller. The cool thing I think about my scripts is not for any reason besides laziness. Most of them aren't like uploaded to Jeff's website, which is a great website and you should use and you should upload your scripts. But I haven't gotten around to it. So for people to storytell my scripts, they have to like ask me or like know where I've posted them previously. So like I don't know. I think that sometimes I kind of lean into that not that the storytellers are curated because that's so pretentious, but like who's really going to be storytelling this script? Me, Alejo, maybe Skills, maybe you, maybe Demeta. Like there's not really many people who are going to be storytelling this script. So I don't know. I think Savant Spy could be fun sometimes.
Yeah.
I agree. I actually think Savant Spy is slightly better than Savant Recluse. Although that feels weird to say because Spy is an evil character and is therefore going to be somewhat hidden, whereas a Recluse will at some point in the game just out as Recluse almost certainly. Well, I guess unless their mez turned, maybe they don't then, but...
Yeah, I think there are a lot more examples of yes but don't with the Recluse than there are with the Spy. Like usually,
absolutely, yeah.
Usually you get a yes but don't with the Recluse, but then when you got the Spy, weirdly it turns into a yes and also do.
Well, so with the Spy, I think, and maybe this is because I like evil players a lot, right? But I think a lot of the yes but don't for the Spy is yes but don't with a big smile on your face. Whereas Recluse is yes, like please fucking don't do that.
Like even in the worst case situation with the Spy, and once again, I will absolutely preface this with a do not do this, do not ever do this. But like, what's the worst thing that you can do with a Spy on TB? Wake up the demon and tell them they only have 1 or no minions, or 2 minions in a 3-minion game. Like don't do that. Absolutely don't do that. But I think that's not as harmful as saying they've got 1 extra minion because the Spy knows who the demon is and can just go have a chat with them anyway. Like, still don't do it. Absolutely. Must stress. Do not do. Do not do. But like that Spy can go up to that demon and say, "Hi, I'm your spy." Then be very confused about why the demon's like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" But then prove themselves by being like, "These are the other minions." Still, absolutely, must stress, do not do, bad idea, no, bad, no, naughty.
Right? What if you don't get to the demon first and they go and out to somebody they shouldn't?
Well, I mean, they're not going to, because no one else is going to tell the demon the spy, because no one's going to know they've done that. But still, do not do.
True.
Okay, just to be absolutely clear, do not do. But it's still less harmful than doing it with a recluse, which you also should not do.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree. The spy has very, very, like, a lot less cases of yes but don't, and are generally like yes but do, whereas recluse has a lot of just flat out yes but don'ts.
Yes, absolutely.
Hence the alternative token that has become a sticker in a few different places now.
Yeah. All right. That's enough of me repeating the phrase "do not do" whilst defending doing something.
You should definitely wink, not wink. Do this, wink. Okay, don't wink. Do wink it, wink.
You actually shouldn't do this. But beating someone up is still not as bad as murdering them. Okay, that's all I'm saying. And on that note,
Lowbuck says there are some yes but don'ts with spy and cannibal. Yes,
there are. Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
But there's not a cannibal on this script, so hooray!
Hooray!
There are also
actually
with spy
now
and
with spy on. I like Undertaker quite a bit.
Yeah, with spy and cannibal, there are also yes, but Steve, please give me a clear answer.
True. Good luck getting that.
Which is a shame considering how many scripts he's written. You'd think he'd know better. That's a callback.
Some people like their clarity to be mud.
Very true. Yeah, there's not many characters we've not spoken about. We've not really touched on the juggler, but I don't really think there's a whole lot that it does special.
It'll get interesting with spy.
It will get interesting with spy.
I think everything on this script gets interesting with spy. I don't know why I took it off. I really don't.
Spy is
One
just
time
an
I was
character.
the spy and Happy was the politician, and so because I was the spy, I knew he was the politician, and he juggled me as my spy bluff and 4 other people all correctly. And so we joke about the fact that he got a juggler 5 as a non-juggler, because Amazing. If he were a juggler, it would have been a 5, but he was just the politician.
Might have been a 5.
Might have been, yes. It wouldn't have to have been, but I'm sure that the storyteller would have supported that and given him a 5.
I don't know if I would as a storyteller, because that's confirming 4 good players and a player that's not the demon.
Yeah, that's true. There are definitely some times where I talk about this kind of with empath and spy a lot on Trouble Brewing, where storytellers really need to sit and think about when and where they are turning the spy on and off, right? Because if you have a spy who is sat next to the empath and you register that spy as good the entire game, you can end up leading the empath to finding the demon as a result, right? They might end up with the wrong evil team in the end. They might think somebody else is evil when they're not, but it will sort of narrow down to the demon. And you might, with Juggler, end up in the same scenario. But let's say you have a juggler who juggles the spy as their bluff and the demon as their bluff. Well, now you want that spy to register because you want to make the demon look better.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, definitely some interesting potential interactions.
Yeah, for sure. The spy. Also, if there's like a little monster, if it's a little monster script, then you could absolutely do it. Because then the spy might be the demon.
Right.
But neither of those characters are currently on the script, although one of them is soon to be. So is there anything else that you want to talk about? Because I think we've pretty much touched on everything now.
I'll say I sent you a cheeky little DM, Alejo.
Send me a cheeky little DM. Oh, it's sweet. Excellent. I suppose I can put that up.
You know what? I think Saint was the right one to take off, given that Witch is on the script.
Me too.
Yeah, because the Witch-Saint interaction is a lot less interesting than the Witch-Klutz interaction would be.
That's true. Yeah, that is very true.
I do worry. So here's my worry. I worry that there's a little bit... Is Mez politician... along with the spy giving their misregistering too much nonsense or just enough nonsense?
Oh, that's the point. I remember what I was going to say. On that question, I don't think so. I think Mez Politician is very unlikely to happen because you need both of them to be in the game, etc., etc.
Yeah, and you need the for that to be specifically the player that the Mez approaches and tries to turn, which, to be fair, it could happen, but I think that it's enough of an outside case that it's not something to worry about too much. Unless you see it happen multiple times, like if every time you run the script you end up having that problem come up, then you might want to consider revision.
Yeah, but it happens once, everyone laughs about it, and you set it up again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or you have players, like if I pulled Politician and I had a Mezophiles come up to me, I would personally just feel so absolutely bad about like doing that to other players that I would either take the word, then out the fact that I'm the politician, but then just continue to play straight for evil, or I would say, I'm sorry, I'm the politician. I won't rat you out. I'll give you a day. Pick somebody else because I'm not going to try to, ruin your game for you. Because I personally prioritize the fun of everybody's experience over, the sort of mechanical optimization of, oh, I'm a politician. I'll hide it. I'll turn evil. And then I'll just out the evil team. Like, that's not a fun play for me personally,
But
right?
also, in your case, I think that's thanks for talking to me. Now you get to Mez turn 2 people because I'm also playing for you now.
Right, yeah.
Which I think can feel bad for the good team, but also that's playing the politician well, in my opinion. Like just deciding I'm going to play. I get people who do it both ways, like play both sides. I think that's fine. As a politician, I pick one or the other. I'm either playing for evil or I'm playing for good. There's no in betweens.
Which is actually the other thing that I was going to flag. Also, I put up both of the copies, so you can now see I was going to say the changes, but the change. Which is that I'm surprised, Nadine, that you haven't mentioned that we have 2 alignment changing characters on the script.
We do, yeah, and that's something that
ones.
I do bring up frequently, which is that. So personally, I think that a script can sustain 2 alignment changers if the storyteller is aware of that as a fact and sort of balances their setup accordingly. I think 3 is too much. I generally don't really enjoy playing in or running games where 3 alignment changers are on the script because it becomes a lot harder to sort of balance that without people being able to successfully meta things, which you don't want players to be able to do. 2 is sustainable with smart STing, but again, it's just something that you need to keep in mind, and that's a general truth in custom scripts. Is as a storyteller, you maybe want to be a little bit more experienced in storytelling and in how to balance the game when it comes to the setup choices that you're making.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's a problem here, just to be clear. I just wanted to get your opinion because I know that you're quite vocal about not having a heavily weighted evil team.
Yeah. Yeah, you need to keep a certain amount of balance. And, I think the politician to some degree is a little bit more balanced of, the alignment changers because it's not guaranteed, right? It's not like a goon, which is definitely either good or evil. It's not like a cult leader, which is either definitely good or evil, right? They're a player who can choose what side they want to play on. And I know several players who will just play the politician straightforwardly as a good player because they simply don't like the politician as a character, or they don't like the mechanics of alignment changing, or they don't like the fact that it's not guaranteed, and so they might be throwing for their own team only to get nothing out of it in the end, which most people don't find all that fun, right? There's a lot of reasons why a politician might not even play that way.
You can also never have 2 extra evil players during the game.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And a politician can always be convinced or attempted to be convinced out of it. People can figure out who the politician is based on their behavior a lot of the times and can sort of play around that somewhat.
I also find that the more players that are like evil aligned, the harder it is for the politician to get the win.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Kind of
Right,
self-balancing in that way.
because you're comparing against quite a lot of peoples, right? The politician does to some degree need to take in some of the evil players' actions into account before a storyteller decides whether they flip or not. And the more evil players that you have, the harder it might be for the politician to effectively play for evil in a way that actually would get them the flip, right?
Yeah. All right. Is there any other character interactions that either of you want to talk about before we move on to our what's usually our penultimate section of the podcast, but which is actually going to be our last one, because our last section is usually, "Hey Kota, have we convinced you to make any changes? If so, what?" But as you can see, we've
We've
got
already been there.
two scripts on the screen right now, so we can skip that section.
Yeah,
but yeah,
sorry, I jumped the gun.
you did a
Jumped
little
the
bit.
horse.
That's fine.
But yeah, are there any other character interactions either of you want to talk about?
I think we've really hit upon pretty much everything, yeah?
Yeah,
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's really interesting because not only you did guys convince me to changes, but you both also lobbied for another change that didn't get made. So I think we really hit everything because we hit the whole gamut.
yeah. The last question mark that I have, and I just want to loop back to this because it was a while ago that we talked about it, is going to be the monk and the pucker. I personally think it's rough, but at the same time,
I do agree.
I do like what both of them do elsewhere on the script, and that's always the problem because I love both of those characters, and they don't play nice,
Yeah.
but they do play nice with everything else around them. So I don't know what the solution to that is, but I just wanted to flag it again.
I think the solution, at least for this script, is to acknowledge that they don't play nice together, but also acknowledge that if I were to remove either of them, I don't think it would be the same script.
That's fair enough.
I mean, okay, you could consider if you take out a monk, although again, a monk has interesting interactions with the poison caused by the other demons. Like, I get that. I'm not, I agree. It does have interesting interactions with regards to the poisons there. But if you wanted it to be a little bit less sort of like a protective role that's a little less OP than maybe like a soldier instead of a monk.
I think I might look at the other in the other direction because I like the monk with the other two demons, and I might just look at the pucker and think maybe the imp is a good replacement. But I don't think there's anything.
But then you bring up the issue of the pacifist saving the spy, who could then become the demon.
At that point, you probably don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And so that honestly, that's why I think I'm going to leave it as is, specifically because I think we can make suggestions either way. But once we make that suggestion, even with the soldier, right? Well, then it's like, okay, well, then how does it fit with everything else? I think they're both puzzle pieces that fit really well in this script. They just need to be on the opposite side of the puzzle at all times.
Fair enough. In which case, we will move on. And Dakota, as this is your script, we will put this question to you first. You are sat down around a table or around a living room or around a gaming convention or whatever, and you are playing this game. And you put your hand into the bag and you draw out your token and you just get a glimpse of it and you see that it's blue. What do you want it to be? And what interesting plays are you going to do with it?
Do they count as outsider or just townsfolk?
You just see that it's blue.
Okay. Then I am going to hope that I'm going to hope it's the general.
Okay. Why?
I think that the general has some really cool synergies on this script. I'm going to hope that I'm the general, and then A, hope I can get Mez turned, or B, hope that there's an oracle in play to see where the poison is. We can kind of like use that to our advantage as a good team to see, okay, are we getting differing opinions here? I'm going to look around, see maybe a monk can protect me for as many nights as possible, so that we can get a bigger picture of the game as a whole. I'm going to be looking for a pacifist, so I can be a little bit more open with my information. I think I'm looking for a general because I think the interactions are really interesting.
Fair enough. Actually, before I go into you, Navian, the one thing that we always talk about when these two characters are on the script together that we've not mentioned is evil leech host. One day it's going to happen.
Evil leech host. Evil leech host.
But hear me out here. Evil monk protecting the leech host.
Ooh.
Ooh.
And I think that's going to be my answer. But Navian, what's your
I'm a
blue?
big fan of evil monks.
What's your blue
I want to be a
character?
chambermaid.
Don't be a chambermaid.
Chambermaid.
Why? What are you going to do with your chambermaid powers?
Chambermaid strong.
Beyond solving the game, because the chambermaid is very strong.
That's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to get a gun. I'm going to be a chambermaid with a scope, and I'm going to try to solve the game.
Okay.
Then you could be the evil chambermaid.
Or I could be an evil chambermaid and really fuck some shit up, and it'll be hilarious. Okay, here's what I really want. I want to be the leech-hosted chambermaid who gets Mazephyli's turn.
In a spy game, so you can have perfect information and just fuck everything over.
Yes. I want this exactly.
You need to be careful about how you...
Please help me.
You need to be careful about how you fuck things over, though, because, you know, if you give out information and then people are like, that doesn't seem correct. But I trust that you're the chambermaid because you're washerwoman confirmed. I guess you must be the leech host. Let's execute you. And then
No.
Leech host.
See, you got to fuck it up on the players who seem to be suspicious. Like the evil players who are bluffing things that don't match their waking patterns. You need to sort of throw some of your evil under the bus. Not all of them, necessarily. But you need to be willing to maybe throw some evil under the bus for that.
Sure.
So what I want is I want the setup to be Leech, Spy, Mez. I want Navy to be the chambermaid that the Spy claims to be washerwoman seeing. I want the Mez to turn Leech host chambermaid Navian. And then I want them to throw their Mezephiles under the bus and 2 other players on the good team under the bus. And that's how I want that to happen.
I mean, actually, no, you could just throw your entire... You could actually just throw your entire evil team under the bus, because when your demon...
your leech is fine.
Yeah, when your demon doesn't die and you're saying, hey, that's the demon, and you've got obviously correct info, which you can have. Yeah, that's great.
Right, you know the meme of that like bongo cat that's like banging its paws on the table because it's excited? That's me right now.
I think I am going to take the monk though, with my character, because although we've spoken about the hooker, I think I just like it. I just like having the monk with the Nodashi and the leech, and an evil monk with a Nodashi and a leech is great. Evil monk protects the pacifist next to the Nodashi, and a random good player is safe. What's not to love?
That actually, yeah, that's pretty interesting.
All right, we'll go back down the line. Kota, same question. You pull a token. You get a glimpse of it. It's red. What is it? What are you going to do?
I really want to say Leech here, but honestly, I kind of want to be the spy because there's so many cool interactions.
Yeah, that's fair. Nathan?
Oh, this is tough. Okay. I love the Boom Dandy.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah.
I knew you were going to say that.
I do. I love the Boom Dandy. It is so fun to play as a Boom Dandy.
It's the Boom Dandy.
I mean, all of these are fun in my opinion. I love being a leech as well. I love Nodashi. It's one of my... I mean, I just love poison.
Is the Boom Dandy... So... Is the Boom Dandy not just the evil Raven Keeper?
Yes. Yeah. Killing and something fun happens for my team.
Yeah, I have to go. I like the witch. It's not my favorite minion, but I like it. I like playing as the witch. But I think my favorite minion on this script to play is a toss-up between the Mazephiles and the Boom Dandy. I love both of them.
It is really a toss-up. Mazephiles is really fun as well.
Lyra's right. This is a really fun set of minions. All 5 of them.
Absolutely.
Like...
Baron can just go wild if they want. Spy gets the Grim and can sort of, intricately make a web of lies to craft a game. Witch gets to kill people. Mez gets to turn somebody, so you get an extra person to, go be in on it with you. Oh, fantastic.
Well, there you go then. We have our evil team. Kota is the Leech. Navian is the Boom Dandy, and I'm the Mazephiles.
Wonderful.
Beautiful.
I will say, A lot of people would assume that with great power is the script I hold the most fondness for because it's in the World Cup. It's going to lose to, in my opinion, a really great script that is Hapless as Rochambeau. But that's neither here nor there. But honestly, I think this is my magnum opus so far. This is just such a fun script, and uh, going into this podcast, I expected you guys to like not rip it apart per se, but like find all the nitpicky minor things, like the little tiny bitty things, and just be like, yeah, this is a decent script. But the more that we talk about this script, the more I just fucking love it.
Good. Let's hear that.
Honestly, that is something that I hope all of the people
Yeah.
who come on here and talk about their scripts get to feel by the end of it.
Yeah, we're here to talk about scripts, maybe make them a little bit better, but ultimately, we ask people to send in their best scripts and talk to us about them, and people have good scripts, I find.
That's right. We're here to build you up, not tear you down.
Absolutely.
Move that bus. If you guys want to play the same experiment of, ooh, what am I going to get from the bag? You should come and play on Alejo F Black's server tomorrow.
We'll get there.
Oh, okay. I'm not jumping the
a little
horn
bit,
here.
yeah, a little bit. What was I going to say? I was going to say a thing.
Was it that people should come and play it tomorrow on your server?
It was not, actually. That's part of the outro, Kota. That
bus.
That was
Sorry,
it. No, I would absolutely love, just because you mentioned it, I would absolutely love to talk to Habby about Rochambeau on a Monday, but unfortunately, Habby is busy working.
Can we do a?
Alas.
Can we do a special like pre-recorded just put it on YouTube like a small one, like a tiny teeny one where it's me and Habby like talking about why the other person's script is better. Where it's just me talking about all the things I love about Rochambeau and then Habby doing the exact same thing about With Great Power.
No, I don't think we can do that, but yeah, no.
It'd be fun and funny.
I would. Maybe we'll see if we can work out a time to talk about something with Habby that isn't a Monday. Happily, I've got Nadian here to argue for me. If I have to have them around, I might as well make use of them.
Navian's the Habby whisper.
I make use by chewing on wires.
This is the part of the podcast where I ask you if you're going to make any changes to your script, but we've already been over that. So we are going to wrap up.
I'm going to remove the chambermaid, the oracle, the monk, and replace them with what are your least favorite characters?
Heretic.
Of the townsfolk. Question. That is a good question. I don't know. I don't dislike any townsfolk. I mean, minstrel, but apart from that, I don't dislike any townsfolk. Oh no, minstrel, boom dandy, don't do that.
Yeah, minstrel would not be a good choice here.
You know what the funniest thing with the minstrel is? Minstrel, boom dandy,
What?
DA. The boom dandy triggers if and only if they're protected.
Oh, right, because minstrel requires them to actually die. Oh,
and boom dandy
boy.
only says executed.
Oh, boy. that sure is a combo.
Just don't put minstrel on custom scripts. It's great on BMR. Doesn't work anywhere else.
It is very difficult to work minstrel inappropriately. You know what? With all this poison on the script, I'm going to say balloonist. For this script specifically.
Mullerbox says cult leader and lycanthrope least favorite townsfolk, and I think that's a reasonable shout.
Yeah, lycanthrope is very difficult to balance a script for, and cult leader is obviously an alignment changer, which is not always a thing that people like, but also calling for cults and having multiple people do it can get a little bit tedious. I still enjoy the process, but not everybody does.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, replace. My final suggestion to you, Kota, is to replace the pacifist, the general, and the oracle with the cult leader, the gossip, and oh no, you've already got the juggler. Oh, that's a shame.
All the things that take up days.
I
make it a Slayer, and then have everybody
Slayer,
do chain Slayer shots.
Add an extra
psychopath on here.
Add an extra outsider back on. Make it the damsel. Have everyone make a damsel guess on day one. Psychopath.
A damsel guess, and then a witch check.
Yeah.
So real quick at the end here. This going full circle. This whole thing was me asking people their favorite characters and making a script out of it. After we finish 2 bites of the cherry, which we are going to finish 2 bites of the cherry, I think it'd be really fun if we could find the time, the 3 of us, me, you, and Navy and Alejo, the 3 of us. I don't know who the you was. It's you was chat, where we all picked our least favorite townfolk, outsider, minion, demon.
I made
and make a good script out of it.
I made that script.
Did you?
I did. I don't know if I have a script image file of it, but I'll put a PDF in our chat so that you two can see it. And then we can talk about it once we're done here, because I'll wrap up and then I'll post it. But yeah, that's what we're going to be doing for the next half an hour, more like 4 hours, after we're done here, just talking nonsense off air. But yeah, we are going to wrap up because I think that we have spent 2.5 hours on this 1 hour podcast. So
that's the problem with having me as a guest.
It's never an hour. I think our shortest was about an hour and a half. So yeah,
it does double in length whenever we have a third person on. When it was just like me and you talking about one of our scripts, Alejo, those were like the hour to hour and a half, and then you add in a third person.
That's because you and I have nothing to talk about. We can't stand each other.
True.
But yeah, no, definitely those were definitely the shortest ones. Yeah, we're gonna. I said I'm gonna wrap up, and then you both kept talking.
You're welcome. We're giving you content.
Hashtag content. Hashtag bless.
I'm trying to wrap up the content. Okay. Yeah. So we are going to play the script tomorrow on my stream. We will be starting at 8:00 Central European time. That is 7:00 British Summer Time. That is 2:00 Eastern Time, and that is 1:00 Cota's Chicago time. Fill in as appropriate using Google. But it is.
You're playing this as game 2, right?
It is, yeah. We'll be playing this as game 2, which will be 2 hours after what I just said. But it's 6 p.m. GMT. And I will be joined for that game because Jamie is going to be on a flight, so they can't join us, and we weren't sure if we would have Navian. We will have Navian, but we didn't know that at the time. So I thought, who can I get to run these scripts? And then I thought, I suppose it might as well be Dakota. So we're going to have Dakota coming and running this script, Technicolor Laser Tag in Space, with me, along with TV with a Marionette, which is going to be the first script that we run, followed by this.
I love how Alejo is like predisposed to just downplay how much they love their friends.
I have no idea what you're talking about, Kota.
We're not friends.
Because my DMs tell a different story to how Alejo just planned that.
Yeah, no. That's fair. Kota has been bothering me for months about running a game. Is that more accurate, Kota?
I would say that is more accurate content-wise, but inaccurate intent-wise.
Yeah, no. I'm glad to have you with me for running a script. Hello, Tan. You're joining us just as we're wrapping up, but it's been a good conversation. You should go back and watch it all about Dakota scripts, which we are going to be running tomorrow at 6:00 GMT. Convert as appropriate. It'll be good fun. Yeah, Trouble Brewing with a Marionette, and then this tomorrow. Join us then. And Navian, I think, will be playing, but also as a co-host, so we'll be in the chair talking to us about the script and so on. It won't be a 2.5 hour discussion about the script, but it will be a short discussion.
We just make them sit there as we replay the podcast.
Replay the entire 2.5 hours.
No, not 7 in the UK, 8 in the UK. 7 GMT, 8 BST. No, yeah, 7 in the UK. That's right. 7 in the UK, 8 where I am. That is correct. Yes. So if you're in the UK, 7 o'clock. If you're on the East Coast, 2 o'clock. It should be good fun. It should be a blast. So catch us then. We will also be back on Friday, where we will be playing. You two are both available this week, right?
Yes.
No.
No, you're not available.
I am going to be really close to Navian, but not too close to Navian.
Okay.
I'll be in New Hampshire.
In which case, we will not be. Oh, hi, Gibbo. You've just come as we're wrapping up. Stop rating me while we're wrapping up. Stop wrapping up at the same time as me. Yeah. Join us. Join us tomorrow. I'll say it all again because we've had another raiding party. Join us tomorrow. We will be playing Blood on the Clock Tower. This script, which you can see on screen right now. Technicolor laser tag in space, along with Trouble Brewing with a marionette. Tomorrow at 6 o'clock GMT, 7 o'clock British Summer Time, 8 o'clock Central European Time, 2 o'clock Eastern Time, or 1 o'clock Dakota Time. Don't know what that is Australian time, but I'm sure you can figure it out.
Australian is 14 hours ahead of Eastern, so that would be 2, 3, 4 a.m., I think.
Is that
No,
AEST?
So actually, hold on. I believe it would be. I don't know which part of Australia, but the part that Tori's in, it would be 1 a.m. or no, 3 a.m.
Yeah, Australia
has a lot of time zones.
A lot of time zones, yes.
Like, it's got more time zones than it has like hours separating those time zones. Rishi says it's 4 a.m. Aussie time, so sometime in the morning Australian time. If you're still awake, do join us for that. We'll be back on Friday, but without Kota, we will not be playing Pandemic Legacy. We'll be playing some other nonsense. We'll see who's around, but if no one else is around, then maybe we'll finally get that Game of Untitled Goose Game. No promises.
Yeah, if I wasn't in a car driving from New Jersey to New Hampshire, I would be playing. But
yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. We'll play it maybe next week if we've got everyone. Then we'll be back again on Sunday when we will be playing some of the scripts. Don't know what, but we'll see. With the Angels, that'll also be good fun. And then we will be back again here 2 weeks today, talking to somebody else about some of the script. It'll be also good fun. There are several other streams coming up. The next one, is Bardic streaming today, or is Bardic just not streaming World Cup today?
I believe Bardic will not be streaming at all today. Unfortunately, he is feeling ill.
In which case, the next stream, I believe, is mine. So I don't have anything to fill you in on. But that being said, although we will, of course, fill you in on everything as the time comes, Navian, do your bi-weekly plug. Where can people find
you? Yes, I will be here, as you said, tomorrow. I will be here on Friday. I will be on Connecticut Blood on the Clock Tower on Friday after I'm here on Friday. And we don't have our full schedule out for August for Bardic's stream on Mondays, but at least some of those I will be co-hosting there as well on some of those Mondays.
Awesome. And Kota, where can people find you? Clock Tower, anything else, whatever you need.
Well, let's start in that order. Clock Tower, you can find me, obviously not this week, but you can find me almost every single Friday here on Alejo F. Black. And then on Connecticut, Blood in the Clock Tower. I tend to do those back-to-back alongside Navian. Navian has a more important role in the Connecticut than I do. I'm just a lowly player. But, they need those too. You can also find me most Sundays. I think I'll be back for this Sunday as one of your 4 lovely hosts on the Blood in the Clock Tower, the Pandemonium Institute Twitch channel. That's what that's called. You can also find me in various other Discords if you want to play Blood Clock Tower with me. I'm not that hard to get a hold of. As for other things, please follow me on Twitter at Coda Holiday. Instagram is the same handle. I'm a pro wrestler, if you did not know. It's one of my 3 jobs that I have, and I love all of them. But if you are in the Northeast region, if you are near New Hampshire, this Friday at the Hampshire Dome, you can go watch me wrestle Max the Impaler, one of my biggest opponents name-wise yet. They are a wonderful, wonderful person, and you should go to that show because every single performer on that show is transgender, genderqueer, non-conforming, or non-binary. It is an entirely gender non-conforming show, and it is amazing, and you should support stuff like that. If you're in New Jersey, I'm also wrestling then. Just go to wrestling the day before there. So yeah, you should. Or actually, sorry, New Hampshire's on Saturday. New Jersey's on Friday. Yes, I know words. But follow my Twitter. All my information will be there. That's all I got.
Rishi says, are either of us playing in the Gen Con games on Thursday? I almost certainly will be. I mean, I don't know for certain because Ben doesn't ask me until like 2 hours before. But
I just assume I am.
Yeah,
I show up regardless.
Yeah, me too. So the answer to that is probably yes, both of us, assuming you're available on Thursday.
Yep, I don't leave until Thursday night, so
sweet.
I'll
so
be
yes,
there.
Rishi, you can catch both of us on the Gen Con games this week. So that should be good fun. Yeah, I think that's everything. I can also be found more than ever now on the unofficial. If you're around, hop into a live game. There's a 50-50 chance probably that I'll be there. Say hi. So we are going to wrap things up now. So thank you all for joining me. Do follow along so that you know when we go live, because our Mondays in particular and our Fridays to a lesser extent are a little bit intermittent. So if you follow, then you will be notified when we go live. Do feel free to subscribe if you want to. But for now, thank you all very much. Have a great day, because I'll see you tomorrow. Good evening, chat.
Bye.
Bye, chat. I love you.
Actually, before we go, is there anybody to raid? Because everybody's been raiding us. No, nobody's live. So yeah,
alas,
we will.
Let me.
If there's anybody you want to recommend, Kota?
Nope, I don't see anybody that I would recommend.
Okay. In which case, good night, everyone. See you tomorrow. Take care.